Maybe they could do that. Who knows? Who knows if they could do that?
You know, I mean, people like to be fully tattooed as particular creatures or a particular, you know, like an alien that they see themselves
The alien
as.
guy. Did you see the alien guy today?
No, I did not.
Yeah, let's look at
That
alien
kind
guy.
of stuff actually fascinates me when people are so dedicated to changing their whole, like permanently augmenting their human form to be.
We cut his fingers off, this guy.
Oh my gosh.
Pretty sure. Here he is. This is the dude here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Vecna.
Yeah. Let me just whack this up on the screen.
Wow.
Yeah. That's it there. Yeah, so this is the alien guy. Apparently, I saw an article on him today that he had his fingers removed. So he's got 3 fingers now. Or no, 2 fingers removed. So he's got like his palm, yeah. Sorry, not obviously his palm, but...
Did you want it sort of make it maybe look like a claw?
Yeah, like an alien hand. So to have 3. So I think he kept the thumb and got rid of the bottom 2. So he's got like just that.
Wow.
So he can look like an alien. Yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
Amazing.
It's
How
crazy.
many fingers does E.T. have? I wonder. He has maybe a human hand.
I know. I'm going to check that out as well.
Let's check that out.
Let's check that out.
Because there's
We're going to get to
one
this
more
intro
thing-
at some
okay.
point. We'll get to this intro.
We will get to the intro.
Well, I've got to make sure I get your last name right. It's going to kill me. How do you say your last name?
Zoratto Ivanov?
Zoratto Ivanov.
Yes.
Oh, fuck it. Let's do
Perfect.
Zoratto Ivanov. We should just do it now. Do you want to do the intro now?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do the intro now. All right. All right, I just got to make sure I get my shit together. All right, and welcome to the Pagey Train. Today in the studio with me, Bianca Zoratto Ivanov. Welcome to the show. Oh, I missed it. Yeah, welcome to the show.
Delayed. No, that's okay. Hey, thank you for having me.
Well,
Happy to be here.
I think I'm going to keep most of what we already have in.
Okay.
But I just needed to get the intro done so, our guests know who we're talking to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're talking to
Let's get
Bianca
it on.
today.
We're talking to me.
Yeah, we'll advocate for women's health, insane yoga, advanced level yoga person. How do you say that?
Advanced level or intermediate. I don't really see myself as advanced. It's just someone, I guess, as myself. I've been doing yoga for 8 years now. Actually, 8 to 7 years. I've been doing it quite frequently. And at the beginning, doing yoga, it's just all new. It's just more so I was not flexible at all. It was just sort of just.
I know that feeling. I know
Well,
that I'm not flexible.
Okay, the biggest thing when people say oh, there we go.
There we go.
The microphone is
There we
closer.
go. Now we're in there.
There we go. We're here now. We're here now.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that people will say to me is oh, I really wanted to do yoga, but I'm not flexible. And that's one of the major things that people will look at, that you have to be flexible to do yoga. And no, you don't.
No.
Not at all. Your aim shouldn't be, your aim when you start yoga shouldn't be, oh, I want to be a contortionist. I want to be able to,
I want to turn into a pretzel.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's not the aim of yoga, right? I mean, you can have certain aspects of where you want to sort of build your body, or the extent that where you would like to push it, where to go, that can be empowering. But unlike other forms of exercise, yoga takes a lot of patience.
It does, yeah.
A lot of the positions that I am able to do now, in the first year or two, I wasn't able to do it. It takes months, years to be able to perform to that level. Not perform, because it's not performance. It's just to be able to...
I suppose you do have to perform, though. You could... I don't know. Is there a yoga championship? Can you go to the yoga world championships? Is that possible?
I don't know, because yoga is not supposed to be competitive.
So, okay.
It's not about competing with other people. This is what I
you're
resonate
saying.
with yoga so much, because it's not a competitive sport. It's not a sport. It's about... The only person you're competing with when you're doing it is yourself, because it's inner work. Yoga is not anything outside of yourself. Yoga is an inner work. So the only person that you are actually, how can you say, wanting to prove is yourself. And that's what I like about yoga, because when it comes to sports or anything, I'm not good at sports. I am not a competitive person. I'd be the person that if I was in a yoga team, not a yoga team. I'm my own yoga team. Party of one. If I was in a team sport and I felt sorry for the other team, I'd give them the ball and be like, oh, they have to score as well. You know, like I'm really bad. I just want everyone to win. It's a tie.
Too empathetic.
Yeah.
Too empathetic for,
too much. Competitive.
For sport.
Exactly. That's what. But yoga is that kind of, it's a self reflection. It's a self empowerment. And I feel that things that I've gone through in my life, connecting with my body and be able to develop that strength is very empowering, and I'm only proving it to myself. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I started doing some yoga at the beginning of COVID.
Right.
Okay, and I've got a yoga dice.
That's right. Yoga dice. It's like, what am I going to try and perfect today?
Yeah, and I'd pick 7. So I'd do 7, whatever the dice rolls, unless it was a double. I'd do 7 positions. So even downward dog, I think it's called, right? That can be a challenge when you're starting out, but you just hold your core together, and that's what I learned what's about. It's about holding your core together and being at peace.
Well, that's the center of everything. Whatever position you're doing, the main focus is your core. But people be, how can you do this move? How can you balance? It's just like the main focus is my center. That's the main focus of everything. And it's actually quite interesting how I first got into certain poses, like the camel pose, or actually bending my back, back benders. They call it heart openers as well, because you're actually opening your heart chakra. But going into those poses, I actually envision, it's more like an imaginary, like I envision like this invisible ball rolling down my back.
Yeah, okay.
And what I used to say when I used to teach my yoga sessions, so I did yoga sessions where I used to, teach beginners yoga, because these are people, I said, trust yourself. Just trust in yourself. Know that you've got you. Yeah. Okay? Because it's a game of trust as well. If you're doing certain poses that you think, oh no, I'm going to fall, I'm going...
No, I've stuffed it up for you.
There we go.
Yeah, that's better.
So, oh no, I'm going to fall, or I'm going to do this. It's like, no, trust yourself. It's a massive workout of trust, inner trust, trusting your own strength, trusting your own ability. Not pushing it though. You can't push yourself in yoga.
Yeah, I don't want to slip out a rib, man. Like I've got back problems and rib problems, and because that's why I work out all the time for that's one of the reasons I work out. I like to feel good. Working out makes me feel good.
Oh yeah.
And multiple dimensions of working out.
Yep.
Everything from weights to swimming. Did some swimming today. Did a swimmer K.
Oh wow.
But did hypoxic training, so I'm like swimming underwater and using a kickboard and doing low oxygen training. Which is pretty intense.
That would be very intense.
Yeah, but again though, it's meditative as well.
It's meditative,
it's peaceful. Takes it, but it will take a lot out of you. Like it will exhaust you. Like you're exhausted. Like I had to have a nap before you showed up today because I was like really tired. Well, yesterday I sprinted 2 kilometers. So
wow,
that was my goal. As I've been working up to sprint 2 kilometers, and I finally did it yesterday. And that's after a weight session, and then in the sauna, and then doing cold water treatment, and I go nuts on this stuff. I love
That's so impressive.
Love going to the health club, and but the same. I do. I work out at home as well, so yoga's a part of that, and I like the extra dimension. But I suck at it. I'm terrible at it. I really am.
No one sucks at yoga, Roscoe. Nobody sucks at yoga. And I will.
I've gotten better.
Forbid you saying that.
I have gotten better. But I was afraid to start. I was afraid to start yoga because I don't know. You just think that you get it's for some reason I felt silly, like because I thought I can't do this. I've had low confidence in it, and then I started doing it, and then. It kind of worked out more. I wish I'd do it more because it's very good for your core, and running and trying to burn more carbon. Get more of that breath going.
Yeah.
And activating muscles.
And it keeps you centered. And it's scientifically proven from neuroscientists that when you meditate during yoga, you can rewire your brain. Because when you're focusing and concentrating, that's a different level of strength, when you have to hold a pose and breathe and center in on that, and sometimes, depending on how deep you are in meditation, time and space can just elude you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh, I was holding it for that long. Didn't even notice.
Yeah.
But you feel it afterwards. But
it certainly does. Yeah, the pain shows up later, but it's a good pain though.
It's a good pain.
It's a good pain. I find that like when people talk about that pain, I go, but when I experience that, it feels good. Like, especially when you've taken yourself to the limit, where you've exhausted every bit of energy that you have in you. Like even you got to that point and then you did it again. Like you thought you were exhausted, let yourself recover a bit, and then hit yourself again with the same impact. And or lessen the impact as you exit the exercise, whatever it is. So go to your peak and then come back down again. That's what I do a lot of that.
Well, it's
taking it up.
It's very therapeutic, but you also learn so much about yourself, your own willpower, your own strength in your body. Because yoga takes time, as I said, you need a lot of patience, and it's not like you're going to be able to put your leg over your head and balance it in the space of a year of doing this. I know this sounds so cliche. I'm going to use such a lame metaphor.
Okay, I love metaphors, especially lame ones.
This is a lame metaphor, but it's the only way that I can actually articulate this. So, sorry, I'm going to laugh at myself even saying this.
It's okay.
It's like picture your body as a flower, okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay,
so this analogy already.
Yoga is not about pushing.
I like that.
yourself.
I like
We're
being
all
a pretty.
flowers.
Flowers are pretty.
I like
flowers.
Rose. I'm a rose.
Yeah, I'm a rose. I'm
a daffodil.
I call Misty a tulip. I think I'm more like I'm a frangipani.
A frangipani.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a frangipani. Yeah. I like flowers. I'm down.
Flowers are good.
I'd like to say that I'm a rose, but I'm definitely a frangipani. Yeah.
I could say you're a frangipani. I don't know. I could say rose because I love roses, but
so you're a flower as this metaphor for yoga.
As a metaphor for yoga. So yoga is not about pushing yourself. You should never go against your body. It's about peeling away those layers, right? So your body is expanding, and you expand it a little bit more, and it's sort of. It's not going against your body. It's allowing your body to open like a flower. Anyway, sorry, that's why I had to put that flower in there. You have to allow it to bloom.
Yeah, I get that. And that's a great metaphor. I think that works in a few arenas as well. I think, doing research into something, that's also about a similar journey. You've described an intellectual journey as well. Learning something new will have its struggles. Like, people don't read all the time because reading takes effort.
It does take effort.
It takes effort.
It does. Because you really need to kind of focus and use your own imagination, and you need to sort of absorb it.
And be focused. Yep. And to set time aside to do that. It takes quite a discipline to read, right? Like even writing, when I've found a new way to write. I now use dictation. So I dictate to Word.
Okay.
And when I blurt out, I'm trying to do... at the moment, I'm doing 500 words a day. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 because I've got this book idea that I want to do.
Okay.
Can't talk about that because it's a great idea and I
right.
don't want to share that yet. But I spit out these ideas and then I go back and edit it. So there's different ways to do that, but even sitting there doing dictation of following a story is the same as writing it. Listening to a book. It's not as bad as, or not as effort. It doesn't take as much effort as reading it.
Yes.
But it still takes effort. You still got to absorb it. And doing study and learning new things and researching, that's the same sort of journey.
It's a
journey.
Like
a flower
it's a journey of
blossoms.
growth. As a flower, we grow and we bloom.
Yeah.
Just by receiving more of that stimulation, receiving more of that knowledge, and
activating those pathways, because you're talking about as well, like activating muscles and creating neural pathways, and research is that as well. You're creating these neural pathways. I think for me, when I talk about depression, and that's another. It's the negative side of neural pathways, right?
100%.
If you are self-reassured of your own self-worth that is below a standard that you hold. In other terms, you put yourself down. If you're always putting yourself down, you'll always go to that neuro pathway.
Exactly, and that's where you actually you find yourself stuck in. It's like how the quote of Buddha, our mind is our creator. We become what we think. We manifest it. So manifesting isn't about getting what you want. It's about Okay, I forget the end phrase to that. But
Do you want me to find it? I'll find it.
Yeah,
What-
manifesting isn't about getting
Buddha,
what you
okay.
want.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, why don't I know the second
Okay,
part of that?
I'll grab it, I'll grab
Manifesting quotes. Manifestation. It's not about getting what you want, but receiving what you give. I think that's one of the things. About getting what you give.
There it is. There it is. I found it. I think this is it here.
What
Is
you
that it there?
What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create.
Yeah, that
Definitely.
sounds like it. Let me
mind
just
is
pull
your
this up for
creator.
everybody. There we go. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create. Yeah.
So that's where you can sort of pinpoint people where, and this is another thing that I try and say with people that are quite negative, or people can really feel offended by certain people that maybe don't know that. Well, this is another saying that I love. People will only meet you as far as they've met themselves.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know?
Well, I've been a massive advocate for that lately, and trying to remind people to love themselves. If you can't love yourself, how can you be loved by others?
You're just going to reflect what you see of yourself. You're just going to see that in other people.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
You're going to be searching for it. You want it because we want to confirm that we're right. When you have self-reassured destruction, you need to confirm that you're right. So you will actually you'll actually start driving yourself towards a failure if you keep thinking about failure. Another way to think about it is motorbike riders, right? If you're riding a motorbike down the road and they teach them to look at the gap, don't look at the object. If you look at the tree and go, don't hit the tree, you'll hit the tree. If you look, where is the gap around the tree? Look for the gap.
That's where you will end up steering yourself because that's what you're focused on.
Yeah. Even you're using all your power, your subconscious power, your conscious power, which is attached to your body. These neuro links. That will your thought, your experiences, the feeling, your measurement of the moment can save your life if you think about it the right way. Obviously, there's sometimes that you're always going to hit that wall. There's people that are just destined that was fate.
Yeah.
But generally, the limited control we have is by our perspective. What our optics are, how we look at a situation. You can choose to look at the half full or the half empty.
Yeah.
I look at it paradoxically. I accept that both exist, but I choose to look at it being half full.
Exactly.
That's how I look at it.
It's all a choice, isn't it? It is a choice.
Total
And
choice.
sometimes that choice to be optimistic
It's hard.
it's harder.
Sometimes.
It's
hard.
harder than
It's a harder path.
it's a harder path rather than to just sort of,
Self-reassured destruction.
exactly.
It's easy to achieve self-reassured.
It is.
Destroying oneself is quite easy.
It is easier to do that because it's easier to kind of give in to that negative, or whether it's anger or sad. Like it's easier to give in to that, but then pushing past that, and seeing, no, I'm going to want to see it this way because I know life's not completely shit. Because if I keep on thinking it, it will be shit.
Yeah, we'll see shit everywhere.
I will see shit everywhere. I'll be walking in shit.
Yeah, and
all
you
the
got to
time.
appreciate things, right? I think when I look back, I remember there was times in my teenage years or my 20s or my 30s where I was having a horrible time. And at the time I thought, the world is ending, I'm climbing the rung of, depression to ultimate self-destruction. But then zooming out from it and looking upon it and looking back to the past, I go, I had a pretty wild teenage life. It's quite free in a lot of ways. Through my 20s, it's even more free. Financially independent through most of my 20s. And, partied all over Australia and worked in a exclusive, high-paid profession. And, through my 30s, went to university, went through a career change, got married, met my wife.
Yeah.
But you hone on the negatives thing that are happening at the time, but you look at the decades and you zoom out. Generally, it's pretty good. Generally, it's not bad.
But do you feel like sometimes people will focus on the negatives because it's the outside perception? So something that resonates.
The acceptance, to feel accepted.
To be accepted, or what you should be doing at this time in your life, or where you should be, or what you should have.
Yeah, I call that disposers.
Disposed.
Yeah, the sposers. Oh, it's not supposed to be this way.
It's supposed to be the sposed.
The sposers.
It's not supposed to be this
Oh, no,
way. I should have this.
I've nicked it from The Simpsons, man. It's in one of the Simpsons episodes where Bart Simpson says to this substitute teacher, I can't remember the episode, and he goes, I'm not supposed to be here. And the teacher goes, it looks like somebody's got a case of the sposders. And I've nicked it from there.
The sposders.
The sposders.
It's not supposed to be this
It's not supposed to be this way. Because it's not fair.
Actually, can I please say it's not
It's not fair. Nothing's fair.
Do you mind if I use the bathroom for like
Again?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm so sorry. I don't
That
want
is,
to. I'm
you
so
have the
sorry.
record for the quickest loo break ever.
Okay, I'm so okay. Quickest.
It's totally. I forgot to tell you, it's totally
quickly.
okay to have a loo break.
Okay, that's great. Because
Yeah,
I
I'll
was
just stop
actually
the
feeling the
record.
pressure. I'm like, I don't want to give myself a UTI.
No, Jesus, I'll edit that bit out.
I've done that.
Or maybe. They what?
They warm my head.
Oh, they warm your head.
Because
your ears are warm.
Well, I always find that the first place to be extra cold is my ears. Because my hair's always slicked back, or for the amount of time that I had no hair. Or like had less to no hair. I'm just so used to not having hair.
Okay.
It's just weird having hair. Trying to grow it out this time, I just got sick of it. I'm not used to this other thing that I need to maintain, and I'm just gonna waste time.
You got to get past that point though. It's like as someone that has long hair, you got to get past the point where you can tie it back. Once you can tie it back, then you're good.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, when I went into the fact of like growing my hair back, it took me a time to kind of think like, you know, people would say, oh, Bianca, you should grow your hair back. Like, now that you can grow your hair back and you want to have hair, like, why don't you grow it back? But I'm like, you know what? I was a bit of a rebel. I'm like, no, you know what? Whatever people tell me, and my mum actually says to me, I've always been this way since I was like day dot. Whatever people say, I always want to do the opposite. So whatever everyone else was doing, I don't want to be a part of what everyone else is doing or what everyone says that I should be doing. Does that make sense? So
It
it's
totally
like,
does.
so I thought, when I choose to grow my hair, it'll be on my terms. It's when I say, yeah, I'm going to grow my hair back.
Yeah.
Because I do remember there was one particular scenario when I was studying during this time, but I was working at Parramatta Sunglass Hut. Yeah, I was working in retail, okay?
I always wanted to work at a sunglass hut. I reckon I'd be good at that job.
So cool. Loved working there. But there was this cafe that I used to always go to, Coffee Emporium, near the Meyer section, and I would go there, order my coffee, and obviously a lot of the times that I was there, I was, you know, bald, or I would be wearing like my scarf, like my turban. And like one time that my hair was growing back, you know, it actually was sort of this length, right? You know, I was growing it back. And then there was this gentleman standing beside me when I was waiting for my coffee, and he looked at me. And obviously the first thing I thought when I saw him was, oh, he's quite attractive, you know, and he smiled at me, and I just smiled back, and I went to walk away. And then as I was walking, he actually followed me, right? And he stopped me. Okay. But he was very nice. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, okay, you just followed me a few meters walking. You just wanted to stop me. He's like, he looks at me, he says, I remember you. I've seen you here a lot of the time. Every morning you come here and you get a coffee or a tea or something. I'm like, yeah, no, I do, because I work down here this way. And he's like, but back then, like, you wear your scarves or you had no hair. I said, yeah, that's correct. He went, yeah, he said, it looked great. And I'm like, okay, thanks. He goes, but now look, you have hair. I'm like, yeah, I'm growing it back. It feels nice, da-da-da. And we were talking. He was lovely. Then he asks me, I would really like to get to know you, if I could take you out for lunch or something. Like, don't get me wrong, this was really nice, and he was a very attractive man.
Yeah, so he's just
like,
asking you for a date.
But then I said to him, I went, hang on. All the other times that you saw me here, you didn't think to come up to approach me then? You didn't think to want to get to know me because I had
Sounds
hair.
critical, though.
But I know. But this is my mind. This is going back like 7 years ago. I'm like, oh, sorry.
There you go.
See,
Always
that's
do a
why my hands are going
Always do a
everywhere.
bump. Always do a
But
bump.
I'm like, okay, so now you're saying, yes, I have hair
Just
now.
pull your chair in a little bit.
Oh.
Come a bit closer. You're drifting away from me. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so now you're saying that you'd like to get to know me. You want my number. Because you're saying I have hair now. Maybe I look more appealing.
Yeah.
But before, you never thought to approach me then or want to get to know me then. And he just looked, I'm like, yeah, thank you, but no thank you, you know? And then you know what I did that afternoon? I went and got my head shaved. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by pure, just like stubborn, durni, as we say. Durni. Hard head.
Yeah, wow.
Durni.
It sounds like he's been a nice guy. It sounded attractive. Like, wow, well, it sounded attractive. Like, I don't know, I didn't see the guy.
He's like, what are those memes? If you didn't appreciate me then, and then you can't appreciate me now. It's like, sorry, you had your chance, but no. But that's my mentality. That was my...
At the time, yeah.
I was young. I was like 27, when I was young.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's different, right? Like how they deal with those sort of situations. I know. I always get chuffed when, especially back when I was in my 20s, if someone was hitting on me and, clearly attracted to me. That was a great feeling.
It is a nice feeling, but I don't know why. But I remember, I think I spoke about that with my mom. And my mom's like, okay, fair enough call. But you do realise at that point you probably seem intimidating to other men. She goes, not that it's a bad thing, but not that it's never a bad thing, but you are probably intimidating to certain males, and I'm like, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, about the amount of times that people would actually come up to me, even from the cow, and say after they've seen me there quite a few times, like, oh, so like, I all this time I thought you were a lesbian, Not that there's anything wrong with that, and that's great. I have a lot of like lesbian friends, and it's great. LGBTQ community, yes, I'm all for them. But like, obviously, no, I'm not. But they just thought, just the way that you dress, you're very what's that word? Oh.
I don't know.
Oh, wait, what's that word? Where you look androgynous.
Oh, yeah.
You have a very androgynous look about you. And we just thought, and also because at karaoke, they would introduce me as the vagina doctor.
You are the vagina doctor, though.
I am the vagina doctor.
Well, before we get into the vagina,
E.T.
Yeah, E.T.
He's got
I've got
1,
E.T.
2, 3, 4.
He's got 1, 2, 3.
3 fingers
three
and
fingers
one thumb.
and a thumb.
That one's extra long.
And he's got the, volcano finger, which is, a bit alarming in
bit
some
of
way.
lava. That's the healing finger. I don't know.
The healing finger. Is that what they call it?
That's what they call it. No, that's just a light so he can find it.
That's right, yeah.
So he can find it.
Well, you've heard of the Mandela Effect?
I have heard of it.
You know what the Mandela Effect is? So when there's a universal truth that is misconstrued in public, so they believe one thing that happened and then something else has happened. Like, how do I describe it? So, for instance, in E.T., you go, E.T. phone home, right? E.T. never says that. We all quote E.T. phone home, but he never actually says it.
Are you sure?
Positive. What he says is E.T. phone home, home phone. E.T. home phone.
Not phone home.
Yeah. It's the Elliot that says
E.T.
phone home.
So we're actually quoting Elliot.
Yeah, but pretending to be E.T. Yeah.
Oh, maybe
the Mandela Effect.
Translate. Oh, that's
so where the truth is the truth is different from what it's understood in society. Yeah, there's a few of them. There's a few of them like that.
Oh.
Yeah, like Luke, I am your father. Yep, never said it. Didn't say Luke, I am your father in Star Wars.
No.
You are wondering who your father is? I am your father. Doesn't say Luke, I am your father.
Oh, right. Okay, so Luke, you wonder who your father is? I am your father. So it wasn't, the Luke was not preceded by I am your father.
Yeah. I'll look it up. I'll pull
How
it
do
up.
I not know this? I do like Star Wars. I'm
But it's the
more of a
Mandela-
Lord of the Rings.
It's the
but I'm more of Lord of the Rings. I can quote a lot from that, and Elvish too. But I do love Star Wars too. I appreciate Star Wars.
Yeah, the false. Here we go. The false memories. Hold on, let me just whack it.
Oh, is this what the yeah?
This is the Mandela Effect. So false memories can sometimes be shared by multiple people. This phenomenon.
It's like Chinese whispers, sort of thing. That.
Yeah, and we just believe it as truth. So dubbed the Mandela Effect by paranormal researcher Fiona Broome, who reported having vivid, detailed memories of news coverage of South American anti-apartheid leader Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. So it was believed by a lot of people that Mandela died in jail, but he didn't.
He didn't. I've got The Long Walk to Freedom.
Yeah.
I've got that book. I've actually got a massive poster of Nelson Mandela on my wall that I've never taken off.
Okay.
I got that because I did a big research piece on Nelson Mandela because we had to actually, for Society and Culture, this was back in high school, senior high, and we had to choose a particular person in power that had a lot of like influence or inspired, many. So I chose Nelson Mandela, and that's when I did a lot of research about apartheid and South African history, and I bought that book, Long Walk to Freedom. Love Mandela. Like I just love him, have so much admiration for that man. And when he passed away in 2013, which was very, very sad, I actually got this posted, and it's like one of his famous quotes, and the year he was born, the year he died, and it's still on my wall. I actually should get it framed because I got it blue tacked, and it's at the ends, and it's kind of like
I've got a lot of posters like that I've kept from memorabilia. From Made in the West, the early days. Some have ended up in magazines and newspaper articles with the blue tack stains on them.
Oh, really? Do you collect them in collect books?
Yeah, no, I've got them on the wall. They're up there.
Oh yeah, you do too.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry,
you do too.
Yeah. So up there, you can see there's you can't see on that wall, on this wall here, facing away. You can't see it on camera, but the newspaper articles, when we got front page of magazines.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like that one there. See the Made in the West where it's the underground, where it's got the underground camera.
Yep.
Yeah, that's out of a magazine. That one.
Really?
That's a magazine ad. Yeah. The other one over there, that's a prototype, the one with the rainbow.
Yes.
So that was a prototype one. So yeah,
I
I collect the posters. They're actual posters from the events.
I mean, I really did enjoy going to your Made in the West festival. That was last year.
Yeah. It's a massive hoot.
It was great. And that movie, what was it, Scarface?
Towelhead.
Towelhead, not Scarface, Towelhead. That I loved that. I really got into it.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah. That film spoke to everybody, I think. It spoke to anyone with who has immigrated to Australia or have had parents immigrate to Australia. Every artist that's ever made art. It speaks about, we were talking about it before, the negative voice. You can feed the negative beast in you and it will win the fight. Or you can feed the positive beast in you and it will win the fight. But the problem with feeding the positive beast is usually it's the harder decision. It's singing that song like, we even do it at the Cow when we do karaoke, convincing people that don't normally go up to go and do a song. Because you're not talking to the person, you're talking to the imposter monster. That's saying denying
monster. I love that.
Yeah, the imposter monster denies you joy, like to go and sing in front of a crowd or compete in a sport or
it feeds off your feeds off your self-doubt. It just kind of solidifies yes, this is who you are and you're not going to do this because you're going to make a fool out of yourself and then people are not going to like you and
you're not going to be accepted and people are going to think you're ugly and silly and stupid.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to think, and that's that negative voice that we have in us. If you have those neural pathways, you'll always go there. You'll always go there. So you've got to combat that. You've got to come up with visual ways to do that as visual exercises, which I do, meditation, physical workout, being a musician, singing. Being an artist, making content,
100%.
Being a professional, earning a keep, running multiple, jobs and multiple positions, and just finding a spice in life.
Finding that purpose, finding that meaning. I feel like it's
still searching, man.
It's all we're all still searching, and I feel like if you feel like you've stopped searching, this is it. It's just you're clueless. You're just going to stay still. We're all progressing. We're all learning.
Safe though. Standing still is safe.
But it's boring.
It's boring.
It's so boring. You know?
Is.
I feel like people are kind of scared to reinvent themselves or to look outside the square.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Go travel or go get an education, and you might even argue, well, maybe it's about opportunity. Maybe I don't have the opportunity to travel. Maybe I don't have the opportunity to get an education. Well, I can tell you, as someone that's faced all of those things, I didn't have the opportunity to do those things until I did.
Yep.
I had to create those opportunities. Those opportunities are created through hard work and networking.
Yes.
Putting yourself out there.
You got to put yourself out. That's the confidence in putting yourself out there, speaking to people. And it's just knowing the confidence, knowing yourself. As I said before, you will only meet people. People will only meet you as far as they've met themselves.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe in yourself, how are you going to expect anyone else to believe in you?
Yeah, that's right.
How are you going to expect, if you don't see yourself as a person of worth, as a person deserving of love, no one is either going to see that. You're going to just like bring in what you attract.
Yeah, you're going to, likeness attracts. So they've done studies about this. If you get 20 people and tell them to stand on a football field, and they go, where? You go, anywhere you want. And everyone will, you would think that everyone would be evenly spaced out. Social distancing. It's probably, maybe that would have more of an effect these days.
Yeah.
But generally people bunch together. They bunch together in crowds. And they'll even bunch together in tribal ways, like standing with ethnicity, standing with sex, and gender, sexuality.
Is that sense of community? Is that sense
of likeness attracts each other. Like, don't get me wrong, opposites attract. Obviously in physics, but in society, likeness attracts each other as well. I hate the saying that it's true. Misery likes company, because if you're looking for misery, you're going to find it.
Yep.
If you're trying to be a go-getter in any way, that's what I say to people is surround yourself with people that are like-minded, and you'll grow. And face opponents in things that are better than you. You're not going to be the champion all the time. You can't. No. It's not possible. Well, some people, don't get me wrong, there's less than the 1% of the 1%ers out there. The big tennis players, or the big football players, or the exceptional golfers, or exceptional academics.
Yep.
That are tattooed through history. Like Einstein will be spoken about for 1,000 years.
Yep.
They're etched. They are etched in history forever. And sorry, just making sure I'm on. Yep. It's me.
It's you.
There are fields of excellence, but generally, people only remember the 1% of the 1%. The rest of us are either a part of just the conveyance and the journey of life. Going out, have a family. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. Putting your time into the next humans that are going to occupy the earth, or you're going on an independent path. Or both. That's the beauty of life, man. But most old people you talk to, man, they always talk about the things that they didn't do, not the things that they did.
Because it's more like a sense of regret, or a sense of shoulda, coulda, woulda.
You don't know. You only know what you know.
You only know what you know, and you kind of, when you reflect back, because you're only going to have that sense of wisdom once you reflect back on it. In the moment, especially younger. I'm not trying to stigmatize people who are of a younger age, but we all know this. When you're younger, you don't think about consequences.
No,
you don't
of course
analyze
not.
it. You don't think about analytically, like, if I go this way, it could go this way, it could go this way. Let me just weigh out my options. You just like gun-ho this.
Oh, you're surfing with the wind.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing when you're young. You're going where the wind blows.
Yeah.
Essentially. And usually that's where the excitement is. Wherever the excitement is, and expressing yourself as a young adult. I remember becoming an adult and realizing, shit, I'm still not an adult. Like,
I sometimes still feel that way.
It still happens.
I'm 35. No, I'm 25. No.
Yeah. But I think you're 25 forever. Like, once you get to 25, you're 25 forever. It's just your body changes, but you're stuck being 25. Maybe 27 for some of us. I think I'm
27. I'm part of the 27 club.
Yeah, I think I'm around 22.
I didn't die then, but
I think I'm stuck at 22. Like, I'm
a very mature 22-year-old, very mature 27-year-old.
Well, I'm a 22-year-old that's stuck in the 90s. And
the 90s were such a good time.
Oh, dude, I've been in the 90s for so long that all my clothes have come in and out of fashion twice. Like, you're dressing. There will be a change. One day someone will say, yeah, man, that's really trendy what you're wearing. I'm like, this is what I always wear and have been wearing for 20 years.
Yes.
But it just, that fades away and then it comes back. I've noticed that's happened 2 or 3 times now. Yeah.
But you know what? It's like that saying, which I forget also, but it's like trends come and go.
We got the sayings down pat tonight.
But style stays because style says me. This is who I am. So you can have a style, your own style. It doesn't matter where the wind blows in fashion or trends. I don't go with trends. I have my own style. And I know if that's me, Bianca will not date. Because that's Bianca style. That is a Bianca style.
Yeah, Bianca style.
There's a Bianca. Whoop. Oppa Gangnam style.
That's Bianca style.
It's Bianca style. Put a bit of Korean in there.
Yeah. I don't know though. I don't know. I guess me, I'm a nerd and a geek. I'm more of a geek than I am a nerd.
Isn't it weird when they talk about nerds and geeks? And I remember I needed to kind of like express this to my mum, and maybe like correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm a massive nerd.
I thought about this a little bit. Yeah.
I'm a massive nerd. Big nerd in high school as well. Like I used to like just go to the library and read. Love reading. I was very interested in things, and I wanted to always just kind of like absorb information and get more knowledge and was a know-it-all, like a Hermione Granger. That was
I used to wag school to go to university, man. I was that nerdy. Yeah.
Okay, can I please just say I did. The only time in high school I still remember that I did skip a class. I was in the library studying.
Yeah.
Then the bell went, and I'm like, oh. I got to go to a subject. No, because I go to the library and study or read. And I was reading the 5th Harry Potter book because it just came out during that time when I was in year 11.
Yeah,
so the bell went.
That's nerdy.
and then the bell went, and I was like, oh, I've got another class to go to. I'm like, no, but I'm really invested in this book. So that whole period, I just continued reading Harry Potter. So there you go. I skipped a class to finish Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's pretty nerdy.
That is pretty nerdy, but it's badass.
Oh man, I
skipped a class.
I got in trouble in
year
10. They gave us an assignment and we could do anything we wanted, and I designed a dirty bomb. So I did the whole schematics of how you would go to Bunnings and like buy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so I made it like a radioactive bomb made out of like metal detectors. I didn't make it. I just designed it. But
still, it gives the, if you're thinking about it.
Yeah, man. Oh, man, this is pre-terrorism, right? Like pre-like 9/11.
Yep.
But I got in trouble for that. They said, "Why did you design this?" I'm like, "Well, you said we can do anything." I was interested in, because no shit though. I had a genuine curiosity into radiology and how explosives worked chemically. Because I used to build my own like radio controlled cars, and I'd always play with make my own electromagnets and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yep.
I was just fascinated by that stuff. Hence why I ended up in the military. I was fascinated by how these things worked.
Yeah.
How explosives work and how guns work, like understanding those things and the engineering behind them. I was just fascinated by, and that's all it was. But they looked at it. Are you going to make this thing? I'm like, well, no. Then I'd get radioactive poisoning. I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm not going to hurt
myself. This is just an idea, and this is how you make it.
Yeah, I had to sit down with them for 4 weeks, every once a week, and discuss my proclivities in science. Yeah, which is a strange set of counselling for someone to get at high school.
They could have taken that for ideas.
Yeah, well, I made it worse. I
contributed to science in a way.
Well, imagine, again, if you think about doing that in school now, you'd be in so much trouble. And there was a game out at the time called Doom, right?
I remember Doom. I used to play Doom.
Doom 1.
I had Doom 3D.
Yeah,
Wolf 3D.
Wolf 3D, yeah, I had Wolf 3D as well.
That's like...
Yeah. I had a 286 with Wolf 3D.
95.
Right. Yeah, 95, man. I was playing Wolf 3D, and then Doom came out on the 486, which is pre-Pentium, which is like super nerdy, right? And I had the illegal version, which allowed you to build your own maps.
Nice.
So I built the school, and I built a Doom level that replicated my high school.
Wow.
It was mad. We used to play, and I shared it with my mates. And then we would play null modem, so dial hookup between two computers.
Yep.
You literally have to dial in with a phone, and then get your modem to talk to their modem. Computers become linked, and then you both go into the game at the same time. And you could play it was the first multiplayer.
Wow! You were a gamer before gamer was
gaming. Yeah, I was gaming before gaming was gaming, right? And but I was also not just that, with customized levels. So not just with the game Doom, but with levels that we would build.
Wow.
And I thought it'd be everyone was building different levels, and I thought, I'm going to build the school. So I built a Doom level of my high school. And I thought back, imagine if you did that now. This is pre-bowling for Columbine sort of stuff, right?
Right, okay, yep.
Imagine that, because of school shootings and this sort of thing and this paranoia around that. But again, just did it out of because I was building a computer game, you base things off models that you know. And I knew the school.
But you're also taking it into a different realm.
And it was funny.
See, Doom has aliens, doesn't it? Monsters and aliens.
Yeah, it's all zombies and aliens.
Wolf 3D is more like you're going into
the Nazis,
Nazis.
Yeah.
So even if you put the diagram of your school, you're not thinking about your students. You're thinking about if this diagram and this was in like a zombie alien apocalypse? Where would we hide? Where would we have our stations? I sometimes do that. I think about a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, so do I.
I am so
I think
scared.
about aliens invading, a zombie apocalypse.
I try not to. That's why I go to sleep with the light on. I still go to sleep with the light on. 35 years old, still go to sleep with the light on. Don't judge me. But it's because my brain is just ticking. That's why I don't watch zombie movies at all. But I always think about if there was a zombie apocalypse, where would be the best hiding place? Or
everyone says they're going to come to my house. That's what everyone says. I'm going to Ross's house in the apocalypse. Yeah.
Every time I go through Bunnings, I always think about
I'm
going
set
into
up, man.
Bunnings.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready for the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah?
Totally.
What's your weapon of choice?
I've got bows and arrows.
Awesome.
And I've got a bug out pack ready to go. So like I can load a 4-wheel drive and be gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
My weapon of choice is two
Did it because
katanas.
of the pandemic. I did it because of the
pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah, I got gas masks, got the lot.
Really?
Fully doomsday prepped this shit, man.
That's amazing.
Well, I was doing it before the pandemic. I was just doing it for fun because I thought it was funny. Again.
Okay,
because
yeah.
I thought it was funny. And because then I had all the gear out in the backyard and Missy's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm doomsday prepping. So I prepped everything and then like I've got these trunks that they're in, waterproof trunks, and I've got a water plan. I'm still growing it actually, just for fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic happened, and again, just out of innocence.
Out of innocence,
Yeah.
But when we talk about like a pandemic, when we talk about a virus, there's always that hint from a zombie apocalypse, like the new Korean drama. Or it's not new, but it's more previous. One of the Korean dramas. It's about a zombie apocalypse, but it's based on a virus that gets out. It's always about a virus or something that breaks out, like 28 days later. Trying to improve humans, but then going wrong. Usually the deal. Yeah. Yeah, and then there's another one that I forget what it's a foreign language.
You should bring your chair in closer.
Why
You got to
can't
bring that bit in there. You got to give that a big yank. Go one more.
That's what he said. Sorry.
I'll go to me while you're doing it. There you go. There we go. There you go. Now you're in.
I'm in.
You're in. Yeah.
I
feel better now.
That's what he said too.
I feel better. Oh no! What did I see online today? I saw this chick in a promiscuous situation. Let's just put it to that. And then he's asking her, "Can you spell run?" And she goes, "R-U-N." R-U-N. And she goes, no.
How do you win?
Hey, I lost the trail. What were we on about? Zombie apocalypse.
Zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, totally. Everyone go to my place. But you've thought about the zombie apocalypse.
I thought about the zombie apocalypse.
And you thought what you'd do.
And I thought about what I do. I do have a weapon of choice. My weapon of choice is 2 katanas.
Oh, yeah?
So 2 samurai swords.
That's a lot of work.
It is.
Have you ever used a katana?
No, but I got a little model one. It's like I got like 2. I have these new 2 figurines of samurais, and I've got a samurai book.
I recommend 1 katana.
One
Katana. Maybe a dagger as a left-handed weapon.
Yeah, because katanas because they are quite long swords, and they do require a lot of. Okay, maybe I totally overestimated myself.
I can wield a katana, and I'm telling you, like it is exhausting. It's totally exhausting.
I should know that because I've seen.
Big shout out to Luke Spiteri. Actually, he got me that katana. Thanks.
Oh,
Luke.
really?
Yeah, man. He's a martial art stuntman dude.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. He knows how to do like stunt fighting, and he got me a katana because I was in a movie with him, and I was directing a movie that he was in, and
wow,
we just hit it off. I made some content for him because he was going for this film. And he needed to show off being a stuntman. Like, he'll shoot an arrow at him and he catches it. Like, that kind of shit. And
Holy
so
crap.
big shout out to Luke, man. He got me my katana. And, I learned... because I know other weapons. I do sai, and I do nunchucks, and I do the bow. So they're interchangeable.
Yep.
Once you start doing weapons and you do katas, they're quite interchangeable.
Wow.
Yeah, katana's hard, though.
Well, I should know that, not
Dangerous
from experience.
Too. Super, it's the hardest weapon to use.
I mean, I have a lot of Akira Kurosawa movies. Like, he's one of my favorite directors, and he's front man Toshiro Mifune.
It's a pretty it's boss level
like
stuff.
Like Yojimbo or Sanjuro, when he's just got 1 katana, and the way that he uses that, but the level of swordsmanship and the precise effort that goes into it. It's an art.
It's
an
expert
art.
level stuff.
Yep.
Using katana's expert level. You need to have your shit together or you cut your own ear off. Like, it's really fucking hard.
They'll cut your nose off.
Yeah, oh, dude, I can't stress enough. Like Katana, like even nunchucks are pretty hard as well.
I've seen you in your nunchuck action in your film.
Oh yes, yes. Operation Kung Flu.
That was so awesome. I loved Operation Kung Flu.
Yeah, big shout out to
Absolutely
Mary
loved
Tran,
it.
actually.
Oh, sorry.
That's
There
number
we go.
two.
There's-
Number two.
I'm sorry. That's my hands. Just, having a mind of their own. Sorry, I do speak with my hands.
Yeah, Operation Kung Flu. Yeah, Maria Tran, she's awesome.
Yeah, she is. And she's really pretty. She's
Oh
so
man,
pretty.
oh you
She's
should see her
gorgeous.
lately, man. She's because she's been over in Vegas. Yeah,
Oh.
she's making movies over in the States, man. She's really taken off.
Oh, great. Good
she's-
for her.
Oh,
Go,
man.
Maria.
Yeah, she's
Wonder Woman.
She's my friend action star, man.
That's awesome.
She is working out really hard at the moment. I think she's got a movie coming up, and she is cut, man. She's been hitting the gym. Yeah.
So she's like a definition of a Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah.
And doing her own thing,
Oh, man.
making a film.
Oh man, I did fight
awesome.
choreography with her, man. She is a tough lady. She is tough, man. But yeah,
So impressive.
Well, I'm used to because I was used to doing katas like for sparring, like proper sparring with and weapons different versus weapons, like so go sai versus bow or nunchucks versus sai. So we'd change people that I spar with. You change it up.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was fighting with her in the movie, or doing training actually for the movie, she was, Ross, you've got to stop fighting me. I'm like, but we're fighting. She goes, yeah, no, but there's theatrical fighting. And she showed me the difference between doing theatrical moves versus fight moves. And they're different. They're quite different.
Right.
Yeah, because when you fight in a movie...
it's staged, obviously.
It's staged, you've got to make it look good.
It's like a dance.
Yeah, well, it's not just a dance. It's deliberate and it's got to be photogenic, and you've got to show motion. So when you punch someone, you want to essentially when you're in a battle with someone, most of the moves that you would do, you want to do in a quick, clandestine, fast, direct nature. Straight arms, straight. You punch someone, you punch them, and you bring your hand back. Quick motion.
Yep.
Right, and that doesn't look good in film. Like unless you're doing a
No,
whole
it
bunch.
doesn't. It doesn't.
You need slow you got to kink the elbows out. Like when you fight, you don't kink your elbows out. So when you do,
whereas theatrical-wise, you need to actually have more movement.
yeah, it's
needs
more
to show
thespian.
Yes.
It's more thespian. So it's an element of dance, like the choreography. Yeah,
There's a massive choreography that goes into it.
but there's also body positions that is favourable to a camera.
Right.
So
okay.
that goes into it as well. So that was a big learning curve for me doing an action film.
That's actually
Or action comedy, yeah.
because when you see martial art movies, like two in particular, there's one that I love. You know that Jet Li movie, Hero, by Zhang Yimou, I think his name is.
Yeah.
So it has it has Jet Li in it, and what's her other? Oh, I forget. Michelle Yao, I think that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole film is so, it's like a dream. It is just, and the way that the fight scenes are, it's just like you're watching a beautiful dance. And
Yeah, it has elegance and it's pretty.
It is. But it's also
Well, that's my
strong,
point. Fights are
strong.
ugly.
They are
They're
ugly.
and they're dirty.
Yep.
Like with a bow, you can be like with a staff, like a bow,
Yep.
right? You can be quite nasty with a bow. Like you can do like in the Matrix where they flick it around and they spin the bow around. You can do all that stuff, but that's not how you actually would fight.
But do you
with
know
it.
what actually makes a good dance scene for the fight? Because you've got two fighters. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, protagonist and antagonist.
So
usually.
if you've got a fight scene where someone's a fighter and someone's just being a bully, it's over in like 2 seconds. That's it. But there's no fight scene.
Well, that's what I'm
There's
saying
no
about
fight
Maria,
scene.
man. Maria, like, I'm taller than her, but she definitely kicked my ass. I'm just saying, she whipped me one. She's a really tough lady. She really is. Like, even theatrical fighting, you're gonna walk away with bruises. You do. Like, arms were bruised, legs are bruised.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I imagine that because that's why you got to be careful as well. You don't want to hurt your co-actor, man. You don't want to hurt anybody, but because you're going to have contact. Doing especially blocks. I found the blocks because you want to make them look real.
Yep, exactly.
So you got to pull back, but you got to connect. So
and you want to make it look real. You don't want to make it
For
look
the-
staged
for the
or
take,
forced
yeah, you're
or
gonna
just
put a-
like,
you put a bit more in, yeah.
You just put a hand just and then
I
that
remember
was
even
fake.
said to her, I said, "In this shot, just kick me. Actually kick me. Like I'll block it with my shoulder, but actually kick me." And she's like, no, I'll do the theatrical kick. I said, but don't forget, don't feel bashful about doing the full theatrical kick.
And actually make contact. You're like, you can make contact.
Yeah. You'll see. There's one scene where you'll actually see me like actually do a like full block where she's going for my head. So try kick me in the head, and I'll block it with my shoulder. So yeah, man, it's full on. It's really full on.
Wow.
It was a mad experience. One of the coolest experiences I've ever had.
And there's a lot of training that goes into that.
Yeah, we did weeks. Yeah. Weekends anyway, a couple of weekends worth, yeah.
But still, there's a lot of work going into
that. Oh,
yeah,
the fight choreography for that, I think it was a 2-minute scene.
Yeah, all the work that goes into that 2-minute scene.
That would have been about 12 hours training. Maybe 12 hours training for that 2-minute scene. No, it was a great experience. But a lot of conversation as well, planning it out, working with a fight choreographer, working with the director, doing your lines, because you got your line delivery as well. Had a monologue just before it, and that was my first monologue. It's really hard to do monologues, I don't care who you are. That's probably true. It's probably easy to do them.
No. It is hard to do a monologue.
It really is.
It is.
Yeah, to keep it together, it really is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great experience. That was the one of the biggest productions I've been a part of, so that was fun. Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Oh man,
it's film.
I'm so chuffed, man. It has been shown all over the world. It's been shown in a few LA film festivals.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's played in China. It's played.
That's awesome.
It's played in Japan. It's played all over the world. It's had millions of views, man. It's doing really well.
Wow. How that connects on all. I feel like how that connects on all spectrums around the world.
Yeah, totally,
you know?
totally. I get strange comments about it because they go, "What movies have you been in before?" Because like they think, like when I was on set, it was really bizarre for me because like I was competent at the fight scenes, or competent enough where the other stuntmen are like, "Oh man, where did you train?" I'm like, "I haven't done any training." And what do you mean? I go, "Well, I'm self-taught. Like I do katas with weapons for fun with friends." Like, I don't go to, a dojo or anything like that. And I certainly haven't done stunt school. There's a scene where I get punched in the face and I have to go flying across the room into, like, boxes. And that was great. And they're like, man, you planned that really well. The fall was really good. You had a proper form. Like, I'm just falling as theatrically as I can without hurting myself. Essentially, that's what you do.
But you already had...
Yeah, I hadn't done it before.
No, but you haven't done it before. But you already kind of knew already what you were doing before you actually did it for the first time.
Yeah, I suppose. Like I've done a physical job before. In the military, especially later in my military career, I did a lot of physical work.
That's right.
Strenuous physical work, which would blow people's minds. You're essentially you've got to be an athlete. Aside from your job, so you have a job and you're an athlete. Which is great because you get to work out every day. Every day you work out, sometimes twice a day. And I remember actually, I'll tell one anecdote about it. I remember I was in we did a weight circuit, and I remember thinking, oh, thank God, this fucking weight circuit is over. I'm gonna fucking die. This was one of my first workouts. Working in the special forces, and I remember that weight circuit, and they got to the end, and I went, oh, thank God. And they go, right, now we're going in the pool. So I was like, I just did all this arm and leg work. I'm like, I'm going to fucking drown. Like, my arms are full of blood right now. I can barely move.
Yep.
I'm fully pumped across my body. And we had to swim 100 meters in pairs. So they put you in pairs.
Yep.
One person has to swim 100 meters, and the other person has to do push-ups while waiting for you.
Wow.
So then you get out of the pool, they jump in and swim, and then you start doing push-ups until they return. Yeah, that was a culture shock.
Did the water feel like hard sand at one time, or like cement?
The thing is, you've got in your mind, the longer you take to do the swim, the harder it will be for your partner to do their swim.
Because they're
continually doing push-ups. If you take your time, you're going to wear yourself out, and you're going to get more focus on you. You're going to get yelled at more. So to keep and toe the line, you got to swim your heart out. So, and then while they're doing push-ups, if you stop doing push-ups, they go, keep doing push-ups. They yell at you, keep doing push-ups. Can't stop.
Wow.
There's no out. There's no out.
So I feel like that's one particular thing that they do.
That was an intense day. I'll never forget it.
In the military, obviously, that was a joint team thing, and it's always about thinking about working as a team.
Totally. Cohesive.
You know?
Cohesive environments.
Yep,
yeah.
Exactly. So it's not about a one-man show, or it's not a solo act. It's about you and your particular other soldiers, or your as you say, group, like a team.
Your comrades.
Your
comrades,
tavarish.
Yeah, your comrades, mate. Yeah, totally. But yeah, I do miss that aspect, the athleticism, because once you get through that kind of workout regime, you become used to it. And I remember, and then the new guy shows up, and you see the look on their face. They go, "That's what I look like," because they had that look on their face of, "Oh no, what have I done? I've picked this. I picked this. They asked me if I wanted to be part of this, and I said yes. I agreed. I'm here. I don't. Why? Why did I agree to this?
Why did I agree to this? Okay. Yeah.
And you see the look on their face, and then you go and remind them as someone reminded you. You go, just keep at it, man. You'll be right. They've put you here because you're obviously capable.
You're obviously capable.
Yeah. So they haven't just sent you here because on a whim. They've researched you. They've picked you for the job, and you're here now. So get used to it. Just get used to it.
Get used to it. And you can get used to it, and you will get used to it.
Oh, it's on me. Oh, shit.
It's all right.
I remember I used to sleep on my arms. My arms get so cramped. I'd sleep on my arms because I'd wake up in the morning and I had to stretch them out.
Really?
Yeah. That was my first few months. Yeah, working with those guys. Yeah. And I wasn't like a main door kicker. I was just a glorified accountant with a rifle, Yeah,
wow.
Totally. It was doing those workouts. But that's stayed with me. That's totally stayed with me. So when you're talking about we're talking about workout regimes before, and pushing that limit, not over pushing it, but you've got to go up to the line. I like working out around people when I see someone working out really hard, it inspires me to work out hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes I see that wash on when I'm working out hard. I can see a mood change in a room. So I've worked out with other dudes and gals that have inspired me while working out. I go, yeah, I can work. Yeah, we should all work hard together. There's that
collective kind
optics again. Look at the positive. You can go, oh, I don't want to do this workout.
Looks too hard. I'm not going to put myself through that.
Just bail, man.
Or you're like, you know what? I'm going to try and do that. I feel like I can do that. If they can do that, we can collectively lift each other up and empower each other through this and encourage each other through this. And we can do this. I can do this.
Yeah. And take something and take that pain and growth. Because the growth is painful. We can't get around. Growth is always painful.
And also, what is a part of growth? Failure.
Yeah.
You have to fail. If you don't fail, you don't grow. And
you've got to start. Another way of saying is you've got to start small. Another way of saying talking about failure is you've got to accept starting small. You've got to start small. You're not going to do 100 push-ups in your first go.
No.
Do 5 push-ups, then 10 push-ups, and then eventually 25. 25 is going to get boring after a while. Eventually, you're going to get to 100. For me, it's the sit-ups, man. It's all the ab work. I hate the abs. Abs are fucking horrible for me.
Even planking.
Do a lot of planking, yeah.
I've got a planking regime. On my forearms, on my tippy toes, and I just hold it. So I always get to 2 minutes 30 or just over 2 minutes 30 by holding that. But my aim is to get to 3 minutes. But I just think as long as I get over 2 minutes 30, I'm fine. So I find the biggest motivator is music, right? So first
music's good, yeah.
I remember I did a remix of the Squid Game theme. And in my head, I'm just if I don't get over 2 minutes 30, I'm going to be shot and killed in Squid Game. So that was a big incentive and motivator for me. I'm if I don't get over, I'm going to be shot. Come on, you can do this, Bianca. And you get yourself in that mindset. I think the only time I got over 3 minutes when I had the Batman Dark Knight by Hans Zimmer in my ears. And I was my Batman, I'm Batman, I can do this. And I just breathe through it. And then when I let go, I did 3 minutes 10. And I'm oh my God. Oh, man.
When you're talking about music, when I do workouts, and sometimes it can be 4 hours. I can do once a week, I try to do a 4 hour workout, 3 to 4 hour workout.
Wow.
Usually a Sunday morning, I'll go through my entire routine for the week. So everything I've done during the week, I'll do everything in one day. So then I've done it twice.
Okay, yep. Right? So you can have the other day to rest.
And then go have a big breakfast, and then come and watch political TV. I love watching politics. Anyway, Where was I going with this? I'll go through that routine, but again, it comes back to those military days, like pushing it up to the limit and taking it up all the way. And I don't know, the endorphin release I get these days is way more intense. It's way more intense than it used to be. And the strength is different as well. My longevity's changed.
Yep.
Can't go as long as I used to. Like, I used to be able to run like 12K quite easily. But now, an 8 will put me away.
Oh my god.
Yeah, an 8 will put me down. I'll do it around the neighbourhood. Especially COVID was good for that.
Yep.
I do it around the neighbourhood, but sauna's great. Do the sauna.
Oh yeah, just that
Health
whole
club, mate.
It's just like sweating off that layer, like you're a snake, and just like peeling off that first layer of dead skin, and you're refreshed and renewed. That's another.
I like it so hot that my teeth hurt. That's how I like it. That's how hot I like it in the sauna.
Really?
Yeah. I'm terrible. Hey, I've got to go have a bathroom break.
Okay, you have a bathroom break, and then I'll have one after you because I've got to pee again.
I've got to pee again. All right, I'll stop the record. That's okay. No, this is fine. We always have breaks. Oh, and we're back.
After two toilet breaks.
2 toilet breaks.
Oh my
wow.
gosh, I broke the seal.
Oh, I'm going through the vodka really well, like because I showed you the ball earlier.
Yeah, that's really
amazing.
impressive.
Yeah. I'm really stoked with it. It takes 24 hours to make it though. It's a little esky that you make ice balls in.
How does
it work?
How does it work, Roscoe? How does it work?
Okay, well, because the ice cools slower, because when you just put an ice tray in, it will cool because the surface coldness will hit it and it will cool quickly, and it will cool with air in it. So it'll actually freeze while air's still trapped in the water. Okay. And it'll come out like it will be white streaks through the ice. If you cool ice slowly, while it's insulated, it will be clear. It'll be totally clear, like in a lake.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Because it will cool. It will cool over time. It doesn't cool. It doesn't snap freeze.
No, it doesn't.
Things that are snap frozen are white and milky. So that's how it works. That's essentially how it works.
Because it was like a crystal ball. It's as clear. It's not like an ice cube, because an ice cube can be pretty.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing. I get the ice cubes out of it as well. So out of the bottom of the esky, you get this block of ice, and I cut that up into pieces, and I have that for ice.
Oh.
So when you put that in drinks, it's also clear because it also isn't milky.
Oh,
it's also cooled quickly.
wow.
Yeah. So Misty's happy because I've now there's more ice supply. Well, that sounds terrible.
We're talking about water ice
water.
that you put in the fridge.
Yeah. Well, actually, geologically, they call ice rock. It's technically rock.
Okay, can I please say, I think there's also another terminology for that as well. Rock or hard.
Rock or hard. I'll check it out.
Or hard.
Rock or hard. Or as in or.
Hard. Like hard as a rock. I'll
check it out. There we go. Rock or hard. No, that's hardest of minerals. No. Well, I know the hardest of minerals. They're the it's the most scale of hardness. You know the most scale of hardness?
Well, a rock is hard.
Well, all rocks have different hardness. The most scale of hardness, talc is the weakest. Okay. So diamond's the strongest. So diamond's rated 10, then talc is rated 1. And quartz is like 7. So you can take quartz and scratch talc. Then you can take a diamond and scratch quartz. So that's how hardness works. And when you scratch it, it's called a streak. So when you scratch material, the powder that you scratch out of it will be a different colour from the material. Oh, I made it. There we go. Sorry, the other computer dies, so I just give it a wiggle.
Okay.
That's the most scale of hardness. And the guy's name was Mo. M-O-H. Mo.
Mo.
Yeah, Mo.
Was it short for Muhammad, baby?
No. His last name was Mo.
No.
It wasn't like that. No, he was European, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, European geologist, I'm pretty sure.
You know, Muhammad is actually the most common name in the world.
Oh, really?
In the world. Muhammad. And I'm like, what would be the second? What would you think be the second most common name?
Do you know what it is?
I'm going
to go with Michael.
It could be Michelangelo, Misha.
All right, I'll look it up.
Because that's really interesting. I find that very interesting. Apparently, Mohammed is one of the most common names in the world. Popular names in this world.
Okay, let's see what we got. Apparently it's James. James is most
If
common.
you're white.
If you're white, I suppose. Top names in society for the 100 years. You got James,
But you
Robert.
know what? You can have James, right? But look at it this way, right? You know, you have like a very common last name like Smith. So my last name.
Maria is pretty high.
Oh, Maria is so
There's 60 million Marias out there.
And look, Muhammad is 3.
Muhammad is number 3.
I think it's the most. Which one's
Oh
the
no!
second
Let me
one?
just put this to line so
I
the
need
folks.
glasses.
So well, actually, here you go. You'll like this. Here you go. I'll do a little
Oh, good. Okay.
There you go. You gotta zoom in
Maria,
there.
do you think Nushi is a girl?
Nushi. I don't know.
Nushi.
I'll find out.
By the way, I love that name, Nushi.
Nushi.
I've never. You know what? That's a name I've actually never heard of, but I do like the ring of it.
Swedish Hungarian. And it's a girl's name.
Girl's name, yep.
Yeah,
So
there you
the most common boy's name is Mohammed.
Yeah.
So it's 3rd on the list, but it's the top male.
Top male's name.
Male's
Interesting.
name.
Yeah. I always find it fascinating where names come from.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm always been interested in the etymology of names, because I looked into my own name, Page, which means in training to be a knight. So what they would do is soldiers that died at war, their orphan children were often taken into the house that the soldier fought for.
Wow.
And if they were of promise, they were then given an education and training to be a knight. And they would either become a knight or stay a page. So they become a knight, then they would have their own duties and own dominion.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's so interesting.
Yeah, I find that stuff fascinating.
It is. I do remember when I was learning Italian and doing formalized Italian in high school, year 11 and 12. Shout out to my Italian teacher, Luigi Serra. We used to say, Luigi, where's Mario? But what he did was he put through, like, there's an overhead and there was a map of Italy and Sicily, and you would type in a last name and it would have little black dots on the country.
Yeah,
of
geopins of where they come from.
Yeah, where they come from. So he did my last name, Zoratto, and it was all along where, like, so the region where my family is from, it's a long name. It's Friuli Venezia Giulia. It's near Veneto, right? But when he typed Zoratto, there were black dots near where the Adriatic coast is, all there. So that's where
Beautiful
that
part of the world,
originates.
actually, by the way.
It is beautiful.
Love the Adriatic coast.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
But hence to say, one of my friends that was actually in my Italian class. So
I say that because I've been there.
I've been there, I've seen it. But his last name was Esposito. Okay, so his father was Italian, his mother's Polish. But Luigi looked up the last name Esposito, and the whole of Italy, the boot and all, was just covered in black dots.
Oh, wow.
And then he told us this very interesting story. So Esposito means to dispose of, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's not like Despacito, Esposito. So he talks about...
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
To dispose of, disposito.
So during the war, you know, when you had a lot of different occupying groups, like occupying Italy that were allies or not, and they would have their either, you know...
Foreign armies, essentially.
Foreign armies, and a lot of women in Italy fell pregnant to these soldiers.
Yeah, as has happened
Either,
through the
you know,
eons, yeah.
and if they gave birth, they would send these babies to, like, they would drop them off at, like, orphanages or churches, right? So when they saw these displaced babies just dropped them, they gave them the last name Esposito, because Esposito means they were disposed.
Well, it lets you know. Well, it lets people know where they come from.
Yep.
So, obviously the last name Smith, Blacksmith, or the last name Black, or Jones. Jones was, I think, to do with animal husbandry. I think it's to do with horses.
My friend Marco was like,
I'm interested in that.
Oh, great. That my last name just means my grandfather was probably disposed baby from the war.
Yeah, let me find Jones is a surname for Welsh origin, ultimately involving Hebrew name. That's not helpful.
That's not helpful.
Oh, it's religious. John's child. That's what it means. So it's John's child.
Oh.
Yeah. How about that? I didn't know that. I thought it was to do with animals. I Thought it was to do with horsekeeping for some reason.
Well, that's it. Well, you know, when you look at like origins of names, so my name Bianca, it means white, right?
Yeah,
But
that's right.
It's a feminine way of saying white. So like you're sitting on a chair. So the word for chair in Italian is la sedia.
Yeah.
So it's a feminine, but it's black.
Stolička is Slovak.
Oh.
Yeah, Stolička.
Stolička?
Yeah.
So-
Stolička.
Ah,
Yeah.
Stolička.
Yeah.
Because you know you have a bit of Slovakian. coming
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
got it all. Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
flex my bilingual muscles, you know.
But yeah, so
Thank you, Misty.
thank you, Misty. But so that the color of your chair is black. So the word for black is nero or nera.
Nero, yeah.
Nero or nera, feminine. So, but because la sedia is feminine, you say la sedia nera. Like vino is masculine, vino bianco. If it's white wine,
Oh, yeah.
vino bianco.
Oh, okay, yeah. Gotcha.
If it's a white chair, la sedia bianca. But it's like in Spanish they say blanco blanca.
Yeah.
You know. But so my name is white. I'm white.
Well, it all comes from Latin.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but that chain of languages comes from Latin. It's all Latin based.
Yeah.
French, English, Spanish, Italian,
Portuguese and Romanian.
Yeah.
Romanian is known as a Latin-based country surrounded by Slavic countries.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they border with Ukraine, Bulgaria, Serbia. But I mean, they use some because in Russia they do say the word chai for tea.
Yeah,
they
that's
still
right.
say chai
Yeah.
in Romanian, but they do say like my nono taught me because my nono grew up in Romania from an Italian family because his father went to Romania to work. So my nono grew up from an Italian family in Romania, so he knew Romanian. Actually, my great grandfather, which is my
Well, I've
nono-
always had this question about Romanians, though. You might be able to answer this for me.
Yes.
Through Europe, you've got the Romans, right, which are the gypsies.
Romani, yes.
Yeah, Romani. Are they Romanians?
No,
They're
no.
not. The Romanians are Romanians, and Romans.
Romani is so obviously we don't. Okay, I just want to be politically correct here, but we don't use. The
I hope I haven't
terminology-
stepped over the line here. I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm talking about.
No, you know what you're doing. So let's go. We love you. So the terminology for us a gypsy is kind of seen as derogatory.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
just like when you talk about Inuit, you don't say Eskimo.
Yeah.
You call them Inuit.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
it's the same. Like we even have it in jokes, like I'm sweating like a gypsy with a mortgage. You know, which is a slur on the idea of being a gypsy, obviously, because you can't get a loan because you don't have a job, and that's the
you're
connotation
kind of-
behind it. Yeah,
It's like that kind of nomadic existence because obviously
Yeah, that's
where
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
where these Romani people came from,
It is
apparently
derogatory.
they are like derived from like around okay, correct me if I'm wrong, we could look it up, around like Persia, that area. So displaced persons, they went and settled, and majority of the places where they settled in was Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
So that's why people know Romania or even Bulgaria, or there's so many Romani there.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, they did kind of go off into different areas of Europe, of course, but more of them are more concentrated in Eastern Europe parts. You know,
Yeah, totally.
but yeah, so Romanian, they speak a Latin language, and my nono used to I remember he taught me this rhyme. He goes, oh yeah, there was this song. It's called Ionel. So there's a name Ionel. It goes Ionel, Ionelole, no mai biabayatole, que te rita fetale, Ionel, Ionelole. So it goes Ionel, Ionelole, no mai biabayatole, don't drink too much, que te rita fetale. All the girls are laughing at you.
Okay.
Ionel, Ionelole.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, cool.
There's another one that he taught me that was a bit rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanna do that one?
Wait.
Well, we always do that in languages,
Yeah.
right? You always learn how to swear in another language
You
first.
always
Yeah.
do. You always do. I think.
Or hello, goodbye, hi, hails and farewells. But then there's swearing.
And then there's the swearing.
Yeah.
And then that's just.
That's your first link.
But it's good to know. So when you're in those particular instances or countries, if they're talking about you and you can hear them saying those words, that you can. Well, you're saying something offensive.
Well, I know this is gonna sound terrible because I like getting my nails done.
That's not terrible.
It is for a dude. Apparently, it is.
It is not. You are looking after yourself.
Mani pedi,
and
mate.
good for you.
Mani pedis are great.
They are great. I can't. I'm a nurse. All I do is just cut my nails and that's it.
Well, I had someone when I was doing getting a mani pedi. They called me it's derogatory, but they called me a guaylo. Yeah, Guaylo, which I mean, Round Eye Devil, which is like
Round
really-
Eye Devil.
Yeah, and they didn't know I understood. I'm like, I know what that is. Hey, 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 hey. But I learnt recently I'm better at my Cantonese than I am Mandarin. I thought I was better at Mandarin, but I'm not. I'm better at Cantonese.
There is a difference.
Major difference.
Massive
difference.
Well, learning, because I studied Korean for 4 years, right? So I remember like being out with my mum, and you know, if we're around people that like they're Asian, okay, and then like they're speaking Mandarin or Cantonese or you know maybe Vietnamese, you know, and she's like, Bianca, are they speaking Korean? I'm like, no, they're not. She's like, how do you know they do? I'm like, there's such a massive difference. Like there is such a massive difference, and I had like, because in my Korean class, I had a good friend of mine, Jenny, who was Vietnamese, and I went to her house quite a few times in Bankstown, and she just spoke Vietnamese to her mum. But sometimes you can also tell with the accent.
The tones.
So if you
Tones is
hear
everything,
a Korean person speaking in English, the accent gives them away straight away. I can tell when they're talking to me in English, I'm like, but sometimes I get confused between the Japanese and Korean English accent because they kind of sound similar. But someone that's probably from another Asian countries like China or Vietnamese, they have a different, it's all in the tone of how they actually pronounce it. But Korean, because they have that, they can roll their R's, but because in their language, it's just if I say 안녕하세요, 제 이름은 Bianca'입니다, 제 이름은 name 이루, but it's not R, but it's not L. It's like a in between an R and an L. It's like a flip of the tongue.
A flap, Jesus.
It's like
Freudian,
a flap. We're not
Freudian
talking
slip.
about labias here.
We haven't got to the vajayjays yet.
We haven't got to the JJs yet, but we're nearly getting there, aren't we? It's like a flap of the tongue.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
It's just a flap of the tongue.
Always, spent 9 months in one. Spend the rest of my life trying to get back in one. Vaginas, kids. That's what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking about. That is what we're talking. Do you remember, like every time like we would see each other, when like during COVID, when we would have like Zoom chats, you would have this timer on how long are we going to go
before Bianca brings up a vagina.
I went good at one point. I went for a whole hour. You're like, Bianca.
Yeah, I think the second record was 28 minutes, but usually it's within 6 minutes.
Really?
Yeah,
is that the estimate? Just like 6 minutes?
6 minutes is a good go-to before Bianca starts talking about women's health in a very direct way.
In a very direct way. But sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes people will come up to me. Oh, sorry, here we go. And then, that's where I said the whole story of like, when people, in karaoke, when they used to introduce you as the vagina doctor, we thought you were a lesbian by that because vagina. I'm like, well, obviously, if you're a lesbian, yes, you like vaginas.
Ironic.
Doesn't mean that you're a vagina doctor, but you know a lot about vaginas anyway, of course. But it doesn't mean that in any sexual way. And then that comes up, But I find that I've had a lot of really good talks with women that I've just met, especially when you've had a few drinks and it's a little bit more relaxed.
A bit of social intimacy, yeah.
And when they ask me, what do you do? And I explain it to them, and I told them that I taught sex ed to teenagers, to 16, 17-year-old girls.
It's very important education, actually.
Oh, it's massively important.
It's massively important. Like, I remember I had a few teachers that were very scientific in their approach with sex education, and it made me realise, because I'm a scientific-minded person, you remember Harold the giraffe? You remember Harold the giraffe?
Happy, healthy Harold.
Happy, healthy Harold.
He was my brother, because we're both giraffes.
Because I've got an autographic memory, right? So I remembered all the body parts that they go through, and what the fastest muscles are. Your eyes are your fastest muscle, and the use of the liver. And when you're in, fourth grade, that's quite impressive, right?
It is massively impressive.
Understanding what a gallbladder is and knowing where it is, and producing bile, which is mainly for breaking down meat. They'd be like, "Whoa, man!" So they gave out 2 awards. So they gave an award to me for knowing everything. Then they gave an award to the other kid for going, "Well, you're not him, but here's the award for the normal kids."
But you're trying.
Yeah, but you're trying, and I always felt like
effort.
It was a strange way to be segregated. It was a strange way to be segregated. I was like, oh, okay, but my point is that very scientifically minded, very much attuned with the idea of how the human body works, how the brain works, interested in pharmacology, brain interaction, how hormones work, how the digestive system works, the difference between men and women, the similarities between men and women, and women, sexual reproduction is part of that suite of knowledge.
Yep.
And it was very surprising to me that women, talking to women over the last, 30 years, I've realised, there's a high percentage of women that don't really understand women's health.
Well, I have to say,
And as me as a bloke who's a layman, I'm just a nerd. Like, how could a nerd know more about one's health than the other?
do you know what it is? So when we talk about women even knowing their own reproductive, not that they don't know their own reproductive cycle, but even when it comes to
Just the understanding of that
empowerment,
process.
I mean, so if we want to talk about
Well, it does come
something
to
that will
that,
really
yeah.
blow your mind, okay? So the clitoris, okay? You can say clitoris, you can
Myth
say
or
clitoris.
fact? The clitoris, myth or fact?
No, it is totally not a myth. So the actual full anatomy of the clitoris was not discovered until the mid-90s, okay? Because they did MRI scans on deceased women. So we have to understand that these deceased women, clitorises are flaccid. They just know, okay, so it's inside, 90% is inside,
Yeah.
that little glans clitoris, that little nub on the outside is only like 10% of the whole clitoris.
So it's
that's
like
on
an
the inside.
iceberg.
Yep.
The clitoris is like an iceberg.
Yeah, it is like
Okay.
an iceberg. But it wasn't until...
It sunk the Titanic.
It can sink many Titanics. But it wasn't until a woman neurologist, okay, she wanted to know more about the clitoris, Helen O'Connell. And she did live MRI scans on live aroused women.
Okay.
And that was like, I think it was like either, correct me if I'm wrong, the late 90s, early 2000s, that they found the full anatomy of the clitoris and actually the expansion and how a clitoris grows when it's aroused. Now, that's very late in medical history that we have learned about this very, very, very important
Well, there's still a
organ.
mystery, right? Scientifically, it's still a mystery. It's a mystery otherwise, of course. We can joke about that, but it's still a mystery in science about how this organ and then this a component of organs works.
Well, okay, so you know how they say, so where the clitoris is, 90% of it is inside the woman. And when she's aroused, okay, this is why foreplay is very important. It's just like analogy of men and women. Men are microwaves, women are ovens. Men are fast, instant cooked. Bing!
Yeah.
Women need to be preheated, okay? And that's very important because you know what?
I think that's the case for the quickie, though. There's something to be said for the quickie.
For the quickie. In some instances, I'm not saying, okay.
Sometimes you do a 100-meter run, you got to do a 100-meter sprint, but sometimes you got to go for a marathon.
Exactly. Depending on the situation, communication is key.
You don't run marathons
Right.
on Tuesdays.
No, it's a
Do
Friday thing.
That's a
It's
Friday
Saturday.
thing. It's a Saturday night.
It's a Saturday night. We're feeling all right. Yeah.
Saturday night.
Jungle boogie.
I'm on the boogie.
Jungle boogie.
I'm on the get down. Yeah,
This like 90% of it is inside, and it can actually expand to the size of a pear. So
Wow.
because I use my hands very well if I want to.
That's pretty big. Pear is fucking big, man.
It's a massive, and it goes inside, right? So when we talk about, okay, so let's talk about.
So it's like a clitoris erection you're talking
well,
about
that's what
here.
it is. And you know how they had that saying? Oh my gosh.
3 times,
stop
man.
it.
Shit,
I know,
man.
I mean,
How did you make it this far into this podcast?
I've got long arms. I'm long and lanky, and I just move my arms everywhere. So sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, so
It's okay.
can I please say that when it comes to
Please say it.
vaginal
Vaginal arousal, we've got
arousal, but
There's
this
a
is
pair.
the thing.
The
So
clitoris is the size of
you
a
know
pear.
they say like
internally.
all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah.
So all roads,
All rivers lead to the ocean.
and all rivers. When it comes to sexual stimulation, whether outer stimulation or inner penetration, all of those roads lead to the clitoris. Every orgasm that a woman has, whether it's penetration, it is all clitoral.
Yeah, but
Depending
I guess what I'm saying is about the orgasm, right? So
Yeah.
the female orgasm is obviously stimulated mainly from the clit, but also from other vaginal stimulation.
which is erogenous areas that is surrounding where the clitoris has expanded.
Yeah, that's
Does
right,
that make
yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
So
totally.
When you have a
But the-
vaginal orgasm,
But the
it's,
biological purpose of an orgasm for a woman. See, there's a biological.
there is a biological orgasm because
is that been determined?
it So an orgasm for a woman, it does help with...
Does it help with procreation?
Yeah, it does. It does. So when a woman excretes... Well, when she orgasms, she excretes oxytocin as well, definitely. It's just flooding there. That's why, if you masturbate just before you have your periods, oxytocin can really help with menstruation pain. But that's another topic, okay?
That's a top tip from
That's
Bianca.
a top tip from me. Believe me, I've tried it, but also they did a survey and 90% of women do say that masturbation and orgasming right before you get your periods or when you're in the beginning stages, doing that.
I think orgasms all around are quite healthy.
They are very healthy.
There's certainly a psychological need and desire for these things, but the procreation side of things, though, what's the deal?
It actually excretes a hormone that helps the sperm to facilitate.
See, I heard it was the other way around. See, my understanding was that these kind of fluids and these kind of excretions, right, are spermicides. They actually kill sperm.
Yeah, there is that.
To then promote the best sperm to get through.
But you know what? It all depends on where you are in your cycle. If you are, let's just say you're not on contraceptives, okay? This is for a woman that's not on contraceptives. Depending on where she is in her cycle, during her near ovulation stage, you have hormones and cells in this, when you become like lubricated and that actually helps with sperm facilitation. Maybe in other times.
Oh, because you're talking about like pathways, and you're talking about fluid to flow along. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Creating pathways to get to germination.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So it's like this. Okay, so one thing that always, and it was actually said to me the other night, someone said, lesbians, okay, if they use a dildo and that means they're not a real lesbian. Sorry, I just said that.
Well, I'm just saying they made their choice, man. They made their choice.
No. And then I said, no, I'm sorry. Can I please just say that I'm just going to let you know, when a woman becomes aroused, why is she building up all that, like the lube and her vaginal wall becomes bigger? Because she's getting ready for penetration. So whether you put a dildo, a cucumber, or whatever, it doesn't actually have to be a man's penis, but penetration, your body is getting ready for any kind of penetration.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
So when a guy says, but if she uses a dildo, she's not really a lesbian, it's like, no, she is. She just doesn't want a man's penis in her. She can put anything else in her to have that.
Well, I can see the semantical side of it from either an ignorant heterosexual or just someone who is perhaps someone like me who's just joking around, like saying, you made your choice. But with that said, I suppose being a lesbian isn't a choice, right? Like you either are or you aren't.
Exactly. You know what you feel. Like my.
And I think that's where that ignorance comes from. It's just, and again, it comes about, that's spoken from fear. That's a fear.
Oh, that's a massive fear thing. That's hugely fear. Like, that's a massive fear. But saying, like, biologically speaking, of when we get aroused, how our body adapts, how our body becomes, is ready for that. But then when we have to really look at the biological aspect of, sex, if we're looking at it scientifically, biologically, procreation. But if we look at it in another term of...
it's way more to it than that, of course.
There's
there's the pleasure aspect to it. Which is a whole sliding scale of desires that are different between a multitude of different set groups.
That's why you don't need a man and a woman together to create that connection. Because connection through pleasure can be with a man and a man, be with a woman and a woman. That pleasurable connection, it does not decipher between you have to be a man or a woman together. That pleasurable aspect is about connection, sex, sacred energy exchange.
Yeah,
But
these things are interesting to talk about. Like I talked about to this what do you call the doctor that delivers kids? They're
obstetrician.
Obstetrician.
Yep.
I was talking to this obstetrician at this party, and he was talking about when women are in labour, it's good to get them sexually aroused because it will help with the birth.
Yep.
You think about that, like in a Victoria. Let's rewind the clock right to a Victorian-esque era where nudity is shunned, and you got to be a proper person in public, and scientific studies are done all around male genitalia, but very hidden from female genitalia. Like these periods of time have existed because of shame, because of feelings of inadequacy, patriarchy. There's a whole host of things that have been, and religion totally is tied into this. Even for the Wang man, like they went through the Vatican and they knocked all the willies off, all the statues at one
Well,
point.
masturbation, idle hands,
Yeah.
like that is a sin. It's proclaimed a sin, right? It's like Satan's work or witchcraft. It's like back in those
crazy.
days. When I think about people
These
that
are
actually
human-
enjoyed sex for sex
human
back then,
functions, yeah.
they'd be labeled as witches or satanic worshippers or things like that. But they're just literally just exploring their own sexuality and enjoying that and connecting with someone else. Like, but you can't do that. You can only do that to procreate.
Yeah, yeah,
And
or to be in a monogamous scenario or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Well, I do think it's funny though that there is a drawer somewhere in the Vatican that is full of a whole bunch of chiseled off dick. Because they didn't get rid of it right, so it's Michelangelo's like statue that they've gone chisel the dick off and put a fig leaf over it. But they've gone, well, we need to keep it. Can't throw it out. So there'd be a drawer somewhere in the Vatican that's just full of stone dicks. Yeah.
Wow.
I find that quite hilarious, actually.
Wow, it's like shaming. It's
Totally.
a
It's
huge
about
form
shame.
of shaming.
Again, it comes down to this idea of like love, right? Like, because that's what we're talking about is love, and that love is it's a neuroconnection. Love.
Mm-hmm.
If you go with the neuroconnection of love, you have to risk things. You have to risk your vulnerability. You have to risk judgment. You have to risk your pecking order. You have to risk things for love. You have to make sacrifices for love. It's easier not to love. Those requirements aren't there if you don't need to love.
Yeah.
But we all need it. We're all
100%.
We all need connection. We all need love. And love changes things in a really positive way. They really do. Like, I've said this on the podcast a few times. The intersection of art and war, right?
Yep.
When the Wright brothers, Orville Wright was doing the first flight for humans. This is before the space race. This is before aircraft. The first aircraft to fly human. I don't think they were looking at their aircraft and thinking, we can strap bombs to this and go and bomb a village one day. I don't think they looked at it that way.
They didn't look ahead.
They were
that
thinking
far
about
ahead.
they're thinking about human dreams and aspirations of
And traveling to far distant lands.
bridging people together.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they were thinking
Forming
about.
that connection.
They weren't thinking about the war and destruction of things. They were thinking about the positivity.
Yep.
The love of it, the passion.
The love and passion of it. Yeah.
And these things you can, through love and passion, you can discover human flight. That's how powerful it is.
Okay, that's really powerful. That's actually a massive, great metaphor. You can, through love and that, you can actually
go to the fucking moon.
Go to the moon.
Yeah.
Metaphorically, we could go to the moon. We can all go to the moon together. We can all have a party. We could have a moon party.
Yeah. We should have a moon party.
We should definitely have a moon party.
Actually, I had Natalie. Big shout out to Natalie. I had her on the podcast last week. You guys met on Zoom.
Yeah, Nelly, but I saw her at Made in the West.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah.
It was her.
She's our
her
social
room,
media rep. Yeah,
her room was like right next to your room.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she's lovely. She's great.
Yeah,
she's awesome.
Natalie's fantastic. What was I talking about, Natalie? I've forgotten about now.
We were talking about the moon, having a party on the moon.
Oh yeah, that's right. The podcast. I was on the podcast with her last week, and I come up with this crazy idea on the podcast a little bit before it. Actually, I got a little bit drunk beforehand, but I was thinking like, because plants, when they grow on Earth, like conifers, pine trees, they're restricted by the gravity, right? Because gravity, they have evolved to grow in this gravity. So if you take a conifer to the moon and grow it there, it would grow taller, theoretically, because it's under less gravity.
Okay.
But it's programmed to grow on Earth. Hasn't evolved to grow on the moon. So it would grow taller, so it's got less gravity restriction on it. It's got less pressure pulling it, it can grow further.
Yep.
So I was thinking, you can take a crater on the moon, make it a dome, and grow like some of the biggest moonweed you've ever seen. You could totally grow all these big buds of weed on the moon and call it like, super moon cheese or
super moon cheese,
yeah,
crackers and cheese,
crackers and cheese.
Wallace
right?
and Gromit on the moon, crackers and cheese.
Yeah, but that's what we can do, man. Like out of love and exploration, we can explore inner and outer space together.
We can grow so much from love.
Yeah.
And that passion to expand and connect, but it's just when that is kind of misconstrued and used in
Greed.
other forms.
Greed fucks it up.
It does.
Greed fucks it
and
up.
I think that's a human fault is greed.
Yeah.
It is.
Why grow carrots when I can go rob the guy that grows carrots?
Exactly. So I don't
It's
have
less
to
work.
go
It's
through
less work.
growing carrots myself.
I'd rather the short-term gain than the long-time work. You know, that's what it is.
Yep.
Same with sort of steroid use, right? Steroids are about, you know, I want the quick gain.
I want the quick gain without the
the
work.
work.
Yeah.
It's the same with bankers that rip off pension funds. I don't want to make millions of dollars making something new. I want to steal something that exists. You know?
Steal something that exists
Yeah.
and make it my own.
Make it my own. You know, and there's these different thinkings. But the people that build things, like the people that built the internet, they didn't think about, right, here's this chance. This is opportunity here to listen to everyone's conversations 24 hours a day. Figure out their desires. Figure out who they're going to vote for. And then we'll make content. And we'll target them to buy the shit that they don't need to vote for the person that they shouldn't. That's why we invented the internet. Like, that's not why we invented the internet.
No.
It's nowhere near it. It was built by dreamers that go, we can connect people together. We can, if a doctor is, if someone is sick in Alice Springs and there's no doctor available, we can do a FaceTime and go, show me the problem and let's talk through this and I can give you medical advice right here, right now. That's what they were thinking about.
Yep. That's the massive positive attributes to that kind of connection.
Connection.
Yep.
Love. Connecting people through love and
Helping,
music.
Helping people.
Connecting people through content and movies.
Yeah. Movies, poetry, music, which is a massive, big indicator to help people.
Yeah, stories of metaphor that we
Yep.
all read into. Allegories. You know, the meaning of a story. What's the story behind the story? What's the subtext? And that's what all art is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yet, later on, we'll go around and chop the fucking dicks off all of the statues that we admire because of the human form and the beauty of it. Because we're ashamed
of it, because that's shameful.
That's
Yep.
shameful and that's disgraceful. It's this negative optic. We need to go to the positive optic. We need to be looking at things in a way that explores inner and outer space. I think totally agree with Elon Musk, man. We should be a spacefaring civilization. The climate change is not a problem. It's an opportunity to learn how to colonize the moon and build domes in the craters so that we can, you know, grow plants in 24-hour sunlight. You know, it's an opportunity. This is where we're at the reach. This is within reach. And we can fuck it up at any moment, like these floods that are hitting us, the fires that hit us, the pandemic that hit us. I've got actually. Can I go like tinfoil hat on you right now?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Go all tinfoil.
So earlier in previous seasons of the Pagey train, I've talked about the idea that the pandemic was released out of a lab by tech companies in order to save the climate. Because if you think about an exponential graph, the only way to stop an exponential graph is to stop what you're doing right now and then let it restart. Because at least the momentum has stopped.
And with a pandemic, when we were all in lockdown,
Not driving.
Not driving.
Not using public transport.
Fuels, less wastage in public places. Do you know what I mean?
Shorten use of food.
Yep. And even with people's lives at risk, it wasn't due to like a massive explosion, wasn't due to war. It created no long-lasting effects, no nuclear, it's kind of like very climate friendly to have a pandemic. I know that sounds so bad. As a nurse dealing in COVID and working through COVID, it was shit. But having said that, on the mass spectrum of climate and nature, like what else was actually affected, it's more so humans that were affected by it. It didn't have any kind of repercussions on our ecosystems.
Yeah.
On forests.
Well, check out this photo I've just pulled up, right? So let's have a look at this, right? So this is where's this from? The Himalayas, visible 30 in 30 years. The Himalayas haven't been visible from India. So that was during COVID. So you couldn't see the mountains because of the smog. But during COVID, you could.
You could. Wow.
So I got this crazy harebrained theory that yes, COVID is real, yeah, but someone programmed a door to open up, and that virus got out and caused a halt to industry, caused a halt to the human movement to create fossil fuels and burn fossil fuels, right? Everything slowed down.
To kind of slow us down.
Stop the momentum.
Stop the momentum.
Stop the momentum.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Stop the momentum. And now we've got the other thing that pollutes the earth a lot of cows, right? So at the moment,
I love cows.
Yeah, I know, but
They're
we
big
eat
puppy dogs.
We eat cows all the time. I love eating cows. They're yummy. But I like eating salmon too. They're yummy too, and tuna. I like tuna.
I like tuna.
Yeah,
Tuna's great.
I love tuna. But the point is that there is in Indonesia at the moment hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Yeah, I heard about that, and they've got airports that are.
Yeah. So they reckon that disease is going to get around the whole world, and it's going to slow down beef production. Therefore, less methane. Therefore, another environmental change.
Okay, can I please just say that I do not want hand, foot, and mouth. Do you know you'll have blisters in your mouth, on your hands,
on your feet,
down your throat. Mm-hmm. Like that's just horrible.
There's a bovine disease that's really terrible. But I'm as I said, tinfoil hat. I'm just making a prediction here that virus is going to get into the cattle in Australia and around the world. It's going to slow. It's going to slow beef production.
For that reason, and that's the actual point of it. That's the
I
incentive behind.
If you talk about deep state, I reckon there is an opposition to deep state that is actually about world conservation. And world conservation, people like Bill Gates that have got the seed bank in the Antarctica. Mm-hmm. We've got these fail-safes, right? These fail-safe systems so that knowledge has been protected. They've got vaults of knowledge protected in Antarctica. Did you know this? Yeah, they've got self-sustained servers that have all of human knowledge in it. How to build nuclear reactors, how to make Teslas, like the lot. All of human ingenuity, all the theorems, everything that we've ever come up with. Everything that's ever... the formula for drugs, the formula for how to get antibiotics, everything. All of this... and there's one in Tasmania, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're setting up a data bank in Tasmania, a server farm, to collect all of human knowledge, to protect it, in case everything goes wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you do when everything goes wrong? How do you...
Well, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's been said, and there's a lot of studies out there at the moment about the age of civilization. It's becoming more prevalent that it's quite clear that civilization existed before the Egyptian Empire. It existed before that.
Yep.
The pyramids were built over 30,000 years, not 5,000 years. This is becoming a part
Torah,
of
the 5 books of Moses goes back to 5,000 years. But we have proof that there is tens of thousands of years before that, human civilization
existed. And across every text, whether it's the Torah, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Quran, there's this big flood that happened. And they've pinpointed this flood that was a comet impact that wiped out civilization, that built the pyramids, the original ones. Right? So civilization was lost. We are a civilization that has amnesia. We don't remember where we come from. We don't remember. We've forgotten. Maybe those that had power that burnt down the library in Rome. Maybe they wanted to erase this information so we don't remember where we come from, because maybe it's quite a sinister answer. Who knows? It
could also lead to so many questions due to religion as well.
Yeah.
We don't want to question anything when it's derived from religion, because that could cause chaos.
I've got to take another piss break.
Okay, me too.
All right, and my battery's about to die.
Okay.
I died!
Oh no!
All right. I think it's right. It looks right. I'll have another look.
Okay.
I know. I'm right, I think. Let me switch. Yeah, I'll look alright. Look at you. Oh, yeah, you're good. Alright, and we're back.
And we're back. I'm doing the Batman voice. And we're back.
We're back.
Where are they?
What were we talking about? We're talking about civilization.
Yep.
And, again, it comes back down to love, right? Mm-hmm. And the love was lost. We went back to the we went back to the Dark Ages again. And then we went through the Middle Ages, went back to the Dark Ages again.
We're kind of going through the Dark Ages now. Well, not here, but,
Yeah, well, there's the fall of empires, right? The ratio for empires that fall, it gets shorter and shorter. So the Egyptian Empire is 5,000. Roman Empire is 1,000. Mm-hmm. English Empire, 400. Currently 100 years into the American Empire.
Right.
So it gets shorter and shorter. I'll show you. This will spin you out. Let me just pull this up. The Age of Empires, man. I've pulled this up on the show before, actually. Let's go to... No, stages. Stages of empires.
Wasn't it Fidel Castro that actually said, the day that I die at peace will be when I know it's America's fall?
Yeah.
And just not too long after Trump became president, he then died.
Yeah, well...
Is that a coincidence? Like V in V for Vendetta said, there are no coincidences.
Well, here it is here, right? So the 5 stages of an empire. So the regionalisation, so the discovery of the land, the ascension to the empire, so the forming of royal families, families of power, maturity, so the lineage of those families, overextension, so over mining, overproduction, and then the decline and legacy. And I think that we're in the decline and legacy at the moment. If you look at it that way, and that's something that has happened through the eons, and it happens at more of a rapid rate, and that's what I think we're up to. And if you look in history as well, during the fall of an empire, we celebrate the gladiators or the chefs.
Yes.
Celebrity. The idea of celebrity.
And celebrity is so over-embellished there. And even if we look at terms of social media, like we said, like in 2 aspects when we want to have that human connection, right? But then we see what other stem that it's gone on. It's created a very like narcissistic kind of self-absorbed society, right? So there is this site that I follow, okay? And it's called Influencers in the Wild. Have you ever heard about that?
No.
Okay, so what it is, it's these people that catch these people that are filming themselves being influencers in public, okay? And it is hilarious. It is hilarious. And it shows, there was one that I watched, these 2 girls, like they obviously had a night out and they looked, they were dressed, and someone was filming them from their apartment. They were in front of an ambulance. That had the lights flashing, had the doors open. They were probably going to get a patient or something, and they were posing. They were literally. Oh, sorry.
We're falling apart.
That one. They were literally posing in front of an ambulance, like, and it's like, oh my gosh, really? Like, where our society is going with such a powerful tool that can connect us, that can empower us, that can kind of just can teach us. Because...
Get this all wrong. There we go.
There we go.
Then we're in the space now.
Okay, we're in the space.
We're in the zone.
They can kind of lead us to grow, to teach. Because to teach, we need to be teachable, right? But then people, when they use it for their own gain or their own narcissistic purposes, it's just like if someone films themselves giving money to a homeless person.
Yeah,
it's like that is more,
that's a bit disturbing, really.
That is so narcissistic. I just think like, okay, you are filming yourself helping a vulnerable person.
Well, you can let me play the devil's advocate on it. I'll do the devil's advocate on that. Like, you could say, yeah, that's narcissistic, but you could also say, well, I'm demonstrating and I'm showing what people should be doing as a token of, well, this is what I'm doing and you should be doing it too. So it could be used. It could be used as a signal to go, well, this is what you should be doing, and this is a signal of what's right.
Yep. No, that is.
But you're talking about raising the profile of that person.
Yep.
In the process of that.
Exactly. So it's more so like when you do, especially if you have like a social media page or something, and obviously to accumulate more followers.
Intent's really important.
Intent is important. I feel like it's about the message that you're trying to put across. If you don't make it about yourself, that's where you're really making the message. You can be filming. It's
interesting you use that terminology, by the way. Using the message.
Using the message.
Yeah, because if you look at studies of a guy called Marshall McLuhan, he'll talk about medium is the message. So the device is the extension of the human. TV was the extension of the human. Cinema was the extension of the human. These external memories that have come through a source of medium. Books, for instance. Where everyone had the same fear about books as they do at the internet now. They thought it was going to change the world and be drastic and be terrible. And maybe they were right, but they weren't entirely right, because then we had shared scientific information that grew civilization. Now we've got this other shared information that's very accessible.
It's so accessible.
Very accessible.
To the point where it's like if someone, like back in 40 years ago, when people were a little bit disconnected or didn't know much about what was going on overseas, or it was just, and they just had like a one-sided view, you can kind of excuse that, because 40 years ago we didn't have the access and tools like we do now.
But the analog days were fun, though.
But they were.
They were fun.
But that's what I mean when we look
Tape
at the
recorders
yin and
were
yang.
fun.
When we look at the yin and yang of everything, so where this level of communication and technology has brought us to is that no one has an excuse to.
It's the silicon age.
If someone is shut off or apathetic or that's just too much, or like just doesn't want to know, but has their own opinions and they just stick to that. It's like, well, that is a choice.
Yeah.
Because you have all the tools and everything to know what is going on outside of your space. You can see two different views. It's not black and white, it's grey. But if you choose to see it, but that is a choice. It's very much shows the reflection of someone who wants to know and wants to grow, rather than someone who wants to stay.
Leading a horse to water sort of idea.
Yep.
I've got this saying. I've said it a few times. You can lead a horse to water, but sometimes you have to drown the horse, which is a cynical way of looking at the situation. But I'm a big proponent for the age of the empire.
Yep.
Right, and I'll go back to that. You've got the Stone Age, right? The ages before, where the wheel was invented, fire was harnessed. Fire could be harnessed to heat a family, to cook a meal.
Yeah.
It could also be used to burn down someone else's village. So fire can be harnessed in
two different ways. It can
very
be
different ways.
Productive and helpful, or it could be
quite destructive.
Destructive.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
the yin and yang.
Yeah, and through the ages, this has changed. The wheel can be quite constructive. It can create industry. It can also run people over. And the wheels of industry can destroy families, can destroy people, and it has done. But if you go through the ages, like, you've got the Stone Age, the Bronze Age, the Age of Steel. The secret of steel is the same as having nuclear technology back in the day.
Yep.
The idea of projectiles, and then the evolution of the chemical revolution. Because you had the Industrial Revolution, and you've got the Chemical Revolution. Not a lot of people bring cadence to the Chemical Revolution. You've got to think about it. The filtration of water, the access to clean water, just that one fact.
Just that one fact that actually is a positive.
It's doubled our lifespan.
Yep.
It's doubled our lifespan in one generation. Because if you go back to our ancestors, your great-grandparents had a shorter lifespan than us.
A massive shorter lifespan.
Massively.
Exactly. That's why they had babies when they were 15.
Yeah.
Because you only probably had a life expectancy of 40 or 50 max.
Yeah.
Now the life expectancy is probably 75 to 80. Like we've expanded it to
increases.
35. Or if you want to be my bubba, 99. She nearly hit 100.
Yeah, wow. A centenarian, right?
She was still driving in her 80s.
But an exception to the rule, though.
Exception to the rule.
You think about that.
Yeah.
Her cohort wasn't with her. She went to all of their funerals.
Oh, yeah.
She think about that.
She would tell me that she's very depressed because all her
friends died.
Passed away. And also...
well, centenarians have more company now.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going through the Industrial Age, which increased life expectancy. The Chemical Revolution, which certainly increased... pharmacology itself. The revolution of drugs have changed. Penicillin saved people on the battlefield, man. Staph infections in hospital. But here's the weird thing, that too much innovation is detrimental, because now we've got bugs that are antibiotic resistant, right? So we can go too far with it, right?
Yep.
But I believe at the moment we're in the age of glass, which is silicon, and I can prove it, right? So all this is going to go out on the internet, right? Which is going to go through people's fiber optics, which is made of silicon, which is processed on a chip that is silicon, which is on a skyline in every city, which is made of glass, which is silicon. We're in the age of silicon. So when you look through the periodic table of elements, you'll see that there's these ages of different elements that have been manipulated and harnessed for negative and positive ingenuity. And we're up to the moment of silicon. And my curiosity was, what's the next element that will drive human ingenuity? You could say it's lithium, perhaps in battery cars, but
Yep.
I'm talking about the real canon change. Like steel obviously changed everything. Petrochemicals changed everything. Like you think about the petrochemical industry, again, the chemical revolution. Think about how people can breed. Like you can drive across town and impregnate 2 women in the same night.
Exactly.
Right? Oh, I've been on you the whole time. Well, look at that. It's all been response. I've really fucked that up.
That's all right.
I screwed up my monologue.
You could just be all about reaction.
Yeah, it's all about the reaction. But that's my point, right? We're in these different ages, and I think that we're on the verge of the new revolution, and that new revolution is going to come through augmented reality and different ways of communicating. And communication is everything. It's everything. Schools of fish survive predators through communication, and they've evolved such through millions of years. Same with humans, man. The more we communicate, the better we are. I hope that we are driving further towards love and driving further away from hate. And
That's what we all hope for.
I think we are. I think we are.
Well, I mean, we have progressed in so many different ways. Like, you know.
Is that a vape? Can I have a go at that vape?
Yeah, go for it.
How do I
It's
do I
a
just hit this
raspberry.
button?
It's just like you're.
Do I just smoke it?
Like a bong.
Just smoke it
Just
like a bong.
inhale. Smoke it like a bong.
That's the most cutest way I've ever heard anyone say bong. It's like a bong.
It's like a bong. Well, I still remember when I had my first bong and I came home and I'm like, Mom, I had 3 bongs. She said, you mean cones, Bianca? I'm like, yes.
Let me get this straight. So your mum corrected you on like drug paraphernalia terminology?
Well, according to my mom, marijuana is not a drug. It's not. It's not really. It's
Depends on what you define as a drug.
exactly.
Depends on what you define it. Is it a pharmaceutical? No, it's not.
No, it's not.
It's not a pharmaceutical, but is it a drug? Because you could go, alcohol's not a drug. Because ironically, alcohol is quite linked to beer anyway is linked to weed. Did you know that? Like hops, like
Really?
yeah, hops is a derivative of a cannabinoid. Yeah, I'll look it up. When they do hops for beer, it is a link in the family to marijuana or cannabis.
Cannabis.
Yeah. Let me look it up. Cannabis.
Cannabis. Marijuana.
It's not coming up. Oh man.
It's just double N.
It's double N, is it?
Yep. Silly.
Cannabis. Come on, man. What's going on? I'll just
Is
hit
it
that. There we go. Don't you mean cannabis? Yeah, there we go. Now it's got. Now I've got one.
Cannabis.
Cannabis.
We say cannabis.
Same as hops. Yeah, there we go. Same as hops.
Okay.
Okay. As you can see, cannabis and humulus hops are 2 types of the relative small family. Yeah, here we go. Let me put this to line. I'll just whack this up. Sorry, guys. Sorry, folks that are watching. I'll just get this online as quick as I can. So as you can see, cannabis and humulus hops are 2 types of relative small family of the Cannabinaceae.
Cannabinaceae.
In blunt, see what we did there? Terms cannabis and hops are cousins, both sharing the same ingredient called terpenes. Terpenes, is that right?
Or maybe I'm saying it phonetically.
Yeah.
Terpenes.
So you could argue that they're a drug. They certainly are that. You can argue that. Because they're linked, but are they pharmaceuticals? I guess where you come. I get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
They're not pharmaceuticals.
They're not pharmaceuticals, but it's all about. How can I say?
Perceptions.
It's perceptions and the relationship that you have with it. You know,
you can abuse anything.
You can abuse anything.
You can abuse absolutely anything.
I abused kimchi the other night. I had like a whole jar of kimchi and I was farting.
See, I normally microdose on kimchi.
Microdose? No, I overdose.
You overdose and fart all night.
Yeah. I was a farting machine. I was like we say in Italian, trampa di culo, which means trampa of the bum.
Is a bum, yeah.
But there's a rhyme.
Yeah.
Trampa di culo sanare di corpo, se non trompa sicuro morto, which means trampa of the
until
bum
you die
is the health of the body.
Oh.
If you don't fart, you die.
You die, yeah.
Se non trompa sicuro morto, you're truly dead. So I'm healthy. That's why my nonna used to say every time he did a trumpet cooler, goes, "Oh, I'm healthy. It's good. Better out than in." You
Well,
know?
it's funny you say that. I've got a mate that has this saying. He goes, "I hope," to his adversaries, he would say, "I hope your bum heals up," because it goes from if you don't eat, you don't shit, you die. So if your bum heals up, you're gonna die. So it's a roundabout way of saying,
I hope you die.
"Hope you die."
Hope your bum heals up and you can't
Take a crap.
And it just manifests in there, all the waste.
But
and
hops and
That's
weed are
amazing.
links, man. They're links. This will spin you out even further, man. Did you know that humans, the closest relative they have in the plant kingdom is the mushroom? Yeah. Yeah. Do you believe me?
I'm not saying I don't believe you, but
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Mushrooms are linked to humans. Let's pull it up.
well, they're so cute, like humans.
Yeah. There it is, though.
Really, 100%.
Yeah. So let me I'll pull it up for our
humans.
viewers here. So let's just pull it up.
We are,
We are nearly 100% alike as humans and equally closely related to mushrooms.
that is amazing.
Only a few tiny changes in our DNA structure set us apart, giving us variations in skin, eye, and hair color. We technically are related and are similar to the mushroom. This is where it gets really interesting, right? We're talking about pharmacology, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of drugs that work with humans, they work because of the interactions with our DNA. Psilocybin works with humans really well. There's actually receptors in your brain that are designed to accept psilocybin and THC.
That's okay. Yep.
It's true.
That makes sense.
It's crazy.
Though. That
It's
makes
crazy.
sense. Yep.
It's crazy. Like if you look at alcohol, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alcohol is they refer to it as being intoxicated, right? And the reason for that terminology is because it's a poison. Alcohol poisons you,
Yep.
and the poisonous effect of it makes you disassociative. You lose inhibitions. You make decisions you normally wouldn't make. You normally have a bit more courage.
It takes down rationality and just you act on more how you feel
Yeah.
rather than rational thought.
It actually works on separating parts of your brain. It actually creates separation in your brain, so you make foolish decisions. And we all make foolish decisions when we're drunk.
Yep.
When you look at weed, there's 7 receptors in your brain. So when you smoke weed and THC, tetrahydrochloride delta 9, if you will, tetrahydrochloride cannabinoid.
Cannabinoid.
Sorry, I got that wrong. There's 7 receptors in your brain that accept that. They're designed, they're like a key that fits together. And that key affects your sensory perception. So touch, feel, smell,
Yep.
audio perception, visual perception. When you have high doses, you'll hallucinate. When you listen to music and you're stoned, you're like, man, I fucking love this song.
Okay.
It's all of that reaction.
When you feel so much, you feel it on such a different level. I remember coming home one time and that's when I had my 3 bongs, but actually it's cones, Bianca.
It's cones, Bianca.
It's cones, Bianca. Okay. So I went to bed. Mum just said, I had some minestrone soup that was my nonna made. It was amazing. And then I went to bed and I was listening to music and I was listening to Hans Zimmer soundtrack of Gladiator. You know that song?
Yeah.
Anyway, and I was in my bed and it literally felt like the music wasn't coming through the headphones. It actually felt like it was connecting my brain. It was coming out of me. It was flowing out.
Yeah, like a polyrhythmic experience.
it
Yeah,
was-
a multi-sensory experience.
I
yeah.
felt like I was music. And I came out and my mum was in the lounge room and I said, Mama, I am the music. It comes from me. I am music. And
I'm
she
music.
said, Bianca, no, you're stoned. But that's okay. You're going to have a really good sleep.
It's a great perception,
but it
though.
is a massively great perception.
It's a great
of that.
perception because if you think about, if we go scientific, like fully scientific on it, if you look at it from a biochemical point of view, if you look at it from a physics point of view, right, particles are waves.
Yep.
And music is something that invokes visual references.
Yep.
So something that's sound brings on visual references, and this is what I teach when I make editors, right? So when I teach an editor, when I got a noob, I love noobs. They're great. They're so innocent and great. When I've got a noob, I show them to edit ear to eye. Because your first instinct to being a video editor is to think about visuals. Because it's video editing. It's visual editing. But the way you do visual editing is actually in a rhythmic sense. If you want to be a good editor, you look at any film clip, it is done to a beat.
Actually,
it's
yes,
synchronized
because
to a beat.
Synchronized to, if they want to put a particular soundtrack or the music behind it, they need to actually link that particular scene that they're editing to that beat.
Yeah, it goes to the beat. And the reason that humans are receptive to it is because we look at it and go, it has rhythmic sense to it. It has a rhythmic ambience. It has what you refer to as appeal. It has appeal. It's appealing. And that appeal actually comes from a soundscape, not a visual scape. The visual scape is secondary. Like, you look at something amazing, like any well done, high tech film that is made in this day and age, you'll see the visual spectacle of it all. But it's actually quite linked with sound. Sound is the first indicator.
Massively linked with sound.
It's massively linked. And so I guess my point is that you look at, we listen to sound, but we look at the particle. So you feel the wave, but you look at the particle. And that's the paradox of it all. And that's how and the most profound songs are done to a heartbeat. There's a causality between those things. And I find that profound. Most people don't link that together. And we are sound. We are a vibration. Even if you look through the universe, you look through how that's my mic bomb.
You got one strike.
I got one strike. Yeah, to your three.
Four, maybe.
4, was it 4? But if you look at it cosmologically, the universe itself is based on waves. It's based on harmonious waves, in fact, which they refer to as asymmetry. It's asymmetrical. Oh no, sorry. Let me rephrase that. Supersymmetry. Supersymmetry is this idea of the right dials being in the right configuration, gravity at this rate, heat at this rate, atmosphere at this rate, the right conditions to make human life. Mm-hmm. And this is where we are. We're the universe understanding itself. And we understand it through a particle and a wave. I know that sounds crazy.
No, it doesn't. It makes sense. It makes so much sense.
That's why music is so successful.
It is. And it's such a massive indicator for our sense of healing. Remembering.
Music's a great healer.
Memory retention. That's why, in Stranger Things, they're like, when they did
we got to Stranger Things. Thank God. I've been waiting to go to Stranger Things.
When
I
they
had
did
an experience.
the music,
I had an experience.
when they did the music and run up that hill with Max, and music was the light.
Making a deal with God.
If only could I make a deal with God.
Well, actually, can I do a sidetrack for a second?
Of course.
Kate Bush, right? She's got a great story. Do you know the story about this? In Stranger Things in the 80s and her music? Do you know the story?
Well, I know. Well, Wuthering Heights is an amazing song.
It is.
But she was so, how can I say, she was cutting edge. She was just so alternative, very different.
Another way to describe that economically is that she was an independent artist.
Like Bjork.
Here's where it gets strange,
man. I love Bjork. She's like the
things.
Bjork of the 80s.
When you're in the 80s, being an independent artist was costly. Your overhead is a shorter margin. So if you went through a record company, your overhead is smaller and you have an opportunity to make more money. No record company signed her because they said, you're a crazy feminist and this music is shit.
Of course, being a feminist, even back
That's
in
what they told her. That's what they fucking told her.
Go the feminists.
No, but think about that as someone that was obviously talented.
100%.
Didn't shave her armpits, right? And they go like, oh, well, you don't have, the word I'll use again, appeal. You don't have appeal.
Because you don't shave your armpits.
Yeah.
We don't listen to your armpit hair. We listen to your music and your sound.
Do you know what she's making a month on Spotify? I think it's like
and also thanks to me.
It's close to $1 million a month.
100%. And I'm, I am the one also listening to that song continually. I've
personally given Kate Bush $4.
Well, I listen to her when I do my planking now.
At 6 cents a...
when I do my planking now, I do running up that hill when I'm planking. And I'm like, I'm going to go to 3 minutes, I'm going to defeat Vecna. Yeah. Doing my planking. She's my motivator for planking.
Well, Kate Bush, man, I'm telling you, man, when she got said no to in the 80s and 90s. She was an independent artist. That means that she owns the entire distribution and the entire rights. She owns all of it.
Yep.
Because they said no. And you fast forward to us now, and now we've got this pop cultural reference. And Stranger Things is fantastic.
I love how they do that.
It's well designed. It's actually designed for parents and teenagers. Because, like, if you watch Stranger Things, you'll notice that there's two stories that are running. There's the adults that are going through a torment, and the kids that are going through torment, and they eventually link together. Right?
Yeah.
So there's the story for the younger people and the older people. Like Hopper, I love Hopper.
Oh my gosh!
I like fatter Hopper than I like model Hopper.
High five. Okay,
Yeah.
can I please say that I saw a meme saying if you didn't like me then, and it showed Hopper in Stranger Things 3 when he was at his most chubbiest, then you don't deserve me now, and that's the reason Stranger Things 4. But I'm like, in Stranger Things 4, I wanted to give him a meal because he looked so he was in a Russian camp.
Yeah, totally, man.
And he was
He's
so
in a gulag,
malnourished.
yeah.
Hello, you know.
But the meaty Hopper, if you will, I idolise. I go, this is a man that I would want to be.
He is
standing up for those that can't stand up for themselves.
Yep.
And sticking your middle finger to the government whilst being an operative in the government.
Yep.
You know, and it makes total sense. I find that that's something you would idolise. Had nothing to do with looks at all.
No, not at all.
With that said, though, still a handsome man.
Still a handsome man. It's all energy, Roscoe. It's all energy.
All love.
All
it's
love.
All love.
It's all love. You know, and that's where it's just like, I remember watching Stranger Things. The first time I started watching it was 3 years ago, like a month before the 3rd season came out. Because my best friend Nell, shout out to my best friend Nell of 25 years. Nell, we love you. She's amazing. She's my soulmate.
Nell's amazing.
She is amazing. But she kept on saying, Bianca, you got to watch Stranger Things. You got to watch Stranger Things. You'll love it. You'll love it. I'm like, oh, I'll get to it. And then my mum watched the first season. She binge watched it in one night. She said, Bianca, you got to watch this show. I watched Stranger Things season 1. I binged it. Absolutely loved it. And the one character in that film, the first season that I felt was 11.
Yeah,
and
no, totally. I think I've even said this to you before. When I watched, because it's hard to get Misty to watch a season with me because if you think I'm busy, Misty is 10 times more busy than me.
Yep.
She really is. Like, she's such a hard worker. And I'm an uber hard worker. She puts me to shame, man. Like I'm in NASCAR and she's driving Formula 1. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a fast-paced dude and I get things done, but I like to get drunk and get crazy. So does she, but she still gets it done, man. It's just insane. But I convinced her to watch Stranger Things with me. So we watched Stranger Things for a few seasons, and then we had a big night where we watched the last season. And I could attribute people that I know in my life in that show. And you were totally 11. You were totally 11. You look like 11.
Oh, well,
you look
I feel
like
like this hairstyle is just like from her in Stranger Things 2.
No, but the facial features a lot. But I don't want this to sound terrible, but it's a compliment. It's going to come out terrible. It's a compliment.
That's all right.
You're a paradox. You're one of the most socially awkward people I know, but you're very sociable because you're so lovely and so nice and so genuine and so innocent. And people abide that, you know. Don't get me wrong, you got the jerks that go, short hair, talks about vag a lot, must be a lesbian. You know.
Yeah, that's a very one-sided, narrow-minded view.
Yeah, that's a shallow gene pool. I'm
shallow gene pool. Can we just say it out there? Shallow gene pool.
I'm just saying that's a bit of a shallow perspective on my friend Bianca. She has a lot of depth, man, and a very intelligent lady. But super innocent. Because I'm one corrupted mofo. Like I've been around. I'm well travelled, highly educated. I've experienced most things that people would never understand. That's not right either.
But it is true though. It is true.
I know, but it's not. I don't want it the way that it sounded. I've experienced things, not always willingly. That's the main point. That wasn't a
Yeah.
willing situation.
Of course.
But my point is, again, that I have a vast perspective on things and different people. And when I was watching that, I'm like, yeah, Bianca's 11. I really resonated with Eddie personally. I'm like, I'm that metal nerd dude that refuses to change for anybody.
I'm actually rewatching it again.
Yeah.
Like, so with watching season 4.
He says things that I say.
Yeah, with watching season 4, and then between volume 1 and volume 2, I'm like, let's rewatch Stranger Things again, right? So I'm rewatching it, and we're up to season 4, or 6 or 7, but we're nearly 11. Well, we're up to season 4 again, and as I'm watching it, I'm looking at Eddie and just how he is. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so Roscoe.
Yeah,
I can totally see that.
Different dudes, right? But the attitude is the thing that I resonate with. I'm not. If you don't like me, that's fine. But I'm not going to adjust my candor to make you happy. I think what's the black fella's name in it?
Lucas,
right?
Lucas has a lot of issues with trying to kind of
he said one of the best lines in the whole thing for me.
Yeah.
Like he was talking about,
but I think from going through that, being that
6.
7, but from going through that struggle of wanting to be accepted and wanting to, he can actually then
what's normal?
What is normal?
Yeah, well, it turns out that normal is a raging psychopath, and I resonated with that.
Yeah, actually,
because you go, well, I want to just fit in, man. I just want to be a part of everybody, and I just want to I want to love people, and I want to be loved. But then you look at what normal is, and that line for me, normal is a raging psychopath, resonated to the point where you think about the banking system, where in 2008, a whole bunch of bankers decided to rob everyone's pension. 60,000 people, 80,000 people, a million people, rob them of their pension. You know, that's a sociopathic outlook on life.
Yep.
The war machine that we've been dealing with for the last, 5 millennia. All to do with greed, all to do with trying to take over. The sociopathic idea, like bombing other cities and taking over countries and toppling their leader and putting our own leader in.
Or like saying yeah, that's bad what's happening there. Or it's not really bad. We're just going to turn a blind eye. But
we're going to ignore
look at
that.
what's happening here, because that's really bad. But it's the same thing. But they'll pick and choose what is bad. Even though they're equally as bad, but they'll be like, no, we'll pick and choose because this is really bad because it's about that.
Well, look at Julian Assange, man. Right, Julian Assange.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
We're locking up this guy. I love him or hate him. Had a journalistic outlook. Exposed war crimes. Did these things that lifted the lid on some ugly shit.
And apparently, obviously, America doesn't want to be exposed for that.
So going after this guy is quite sociopathic.
Yeah, exactly. It is because it's
that's normal.
It's a
normal thing to do.
And then when people talk about Julia Assange, they're like, oh yeah, and it's just so I just feel like people are really disconnected. Like as I said, we've got all the tools, we've got everything for people to be connected, but also at the same time, when they're disconnected, it's a choice. But it's normal. It's better normal to be disconnected, and that's where and
to be the nerd. It's better to be the nerd and the geek. Your ratio of geek and nerd may be different. As I've learned tonight, I thought you were more of a nerd than a geek, but what I've learned is that it's quite balanced. You're quite geeky.
I am a bit geeky. Oh yeah, I can be geeky.
You know that I'm geeky, right? Because here I am doing this podcast, right? It takes a lot of geekiness to put it together. But I'm nerdy in the way that I approach content and the way that I look at the world.
Yep.
But I've learned that you are quite geeky. You have some geeky tendencies, Bianca.
I have geeky tendencies. Well, there we go. You learn something new about yourself every day. I thought I was just a nerd. I'm like, I wouldn't put myself in that.
No, you got a ratio of geek and nerd going on. Definitely. You're nowhere near normal. You're not a raging psychopath.
Okay, well, that's great. I don't want to be normal. Well, that was the thing. As I said, as from young, I've always wanted to do the opposite of what was normal. So it's like this, right? As a teenager, going through high school, I would go into the library and just read books. I would not want to do what the normal teenager was doing, right? Which was rebelling. But that was my rebellion against being the normal teenager. Does that make sense?
I totally get
so
that.
I was being my own rebellious self as a teenager against what is just the normal teenager.
Yeah, well, being normal, again, like being the jock or being the aggressive person, the alpha male, or, you know, in my life I've been referred to the alpha male before, and I don't think that's true. I think
I wouldn't see you
I'm
as
more of
an
the
alpha
omega.
male.
I think it's the omega.
Oh my gosh, the
I think I'm
omega.
the omega.
Yeah, I would definitely see you as more omega.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, leading a charge if I have to, that's fine. But I'd rather just be cool, you know.
Oh yeah,
That sounds really weird.
But I think in specific situations that would
Let's
come
look
out.
it up. I'll look it up. Let's see the omega male. I'll look it up.
Omega male.
Omega male. Let's look that up. Here we go. All right, here we go. Oh wow, I've got it right here. Let's just pull it up. Okay, so we got noun, countable. A man who chooses not to have a powerful or important role in society or professional situation. While the alpha male wants to dominate and beta male wants to get by, the omega male either opted out or is used to try or given up.
Okay, no, I wouldn't
I don't
say
think
you've
that's
given
right.
up. No, that's not right.
I don't think that's right.
That is not right. I wouldn't see you as that.
Yeah,
I just
no.
think that you're you, and it doesn't matter what any kind of like social aspect that you're in or social situation, you just kind of elude this, like everyone's drawn to you. So many people are drawn to you in such a positive way. I feel like you're a person that just brings out the best in people, you know?
I just don't like the token alpha male though.
Because alpha male is like dominance.
Yeah,
which you're
well, it's
not.
not-
You're
I'm
not
not-
about dominating.
Dominating presence, maybe.
But I feel
know
like
about
that's
that
also
either. I don't know about that
no.
either.
You don't have a dominating presence. I feel like if someone feels that, it's more a reflection on them.
Yeah, like you said before, the person you meet is the person that they are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I just guess that my objective is to bring the best out in people. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm really good at, is bringing the best out in people. And I realise that you can't go somewhere on your own. Well, don't get me wrong, there's journeys to be taken on oneself, but I'm talking about like the forming of ideas and collaborations in art, collaborations in ideas, collaborations in film, in music. And these ideas are brought together by encouraging people to be themselves. And that's what I try to do. I encourage them to be them. And all I do is sort of hold up a mirror to themselves and go, this is you, man. And by doing so, it reflects back to me, where I can see myself in that situation. And I try to grow as well. And it really comes down to the rising tide raises all boats. Really comes down to that. If we grow together, then we all
grow together.
We all win.
I mean, there is this quote that I do love. It's like, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Does that make sense? Because I feel
karaoke
like,
down to a T. That's what karaoke is.
When you serve,
Can we go with that?
I'll go for it. Raspberry, strawberry.
Raspberry.
So I feel like when you actually help others, when you're able to kind of connect and
Jesus Christ! What do you got in this thing?
It's just vape. It's a vape. So can you do circles? I can't
Don't you
even
get
do
circles going?
Oh, yeah.
I got one
put my
out.
finger in it.
I got one out.
I got it. Got one out.
Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're right. What were we talking about? What was it?
Oh, I lost it. I lost it too.
No.
Encouraging people.
Encouraging people. And I feel like encouraging people to see themselves to losing yourself in the service of others.
Yeah.
When you're able to help a person see the best part of themselves without any kind of, it's not self-gain, it's just wanting that person, you learn so much about yourself through that journey as well.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you learn
I do.
so
I really
much
do.
about yourself helping someone going through their own demons or their own self-inflictions or insecurities.
Yeah,
you know?
Mending others is mending yourself, but sometimes we can get overthrown in that. Sometimes I forget to mend myself. But I guess the other lesson that I'm learning is that, you put your own oxygen mask on first. If the plane's going down,
Yep.
you put your own oxygen mask. Oxygen mask. Put your own oxygen mask on first before you help others, right? You've got to help yourself before you can help others. You've got to love yourself before others can love you. I think that's been the theme, actually, of this podcast.
You got to love yourself.
You got to love yourself. And be forgiving of yourself. Like, you're not going to win every time. And that's been really humbling for me. Really has.
Well, that's what I say.
Really
failure
has.
is a part of growth. There's this saying. That's another saying that I like. Failure is never is never quite frightening as regret. When you fail, when you try something, if you fail, you learn from it. But if you back yourself away from it and don't even experience it, if you're thinking, and you don't even know what experience or lesson you could have got from that in the first place, whether you win or lose, but you wouldn't know. So you don't actually learn a lesson. You don't grow. You don't progress. So look at the glass half empty or half full. Whatever failure you have, you say, well, at least I tried. This didn't work out. What am I going to take from this?
Yeah, looking upon it is good. I find zooming out, looking at the whole glass and understanding there's actually more to the liquid that's in the glass. It's actually the container that holds the glass. And the space that fills the other half that's empty is actually quite full.
It's already full enough.
There's air in there. There's more in there. There's more than meets the eye.
Even though the glass is half full, there's still that extra bit that needs to be filled up too. So what are you going to fill it with?
That's right. It's got to be filled with something.
Yeah.
And I definitely try to have the right perspective. And sometimes it gets hard because you get bogged down in the emotions of things.
Oh, emotions can be a very powerful thing.
Look, one of the things they say is, it's not business. It's not personal. It's just business. And if your business and you're passionate about it, it is personal.
Exactly.
It actually is.
Exactly.
It actually is personal.
Yep.
You could look at it and cut and dry, but I think we're in this point of evolution where it isn't cut and dry. There's more to it. There's better apparatuses to the model. Like the experiences that I have in the arts world is the person that gets paid last is the artist. Like, that's weird. Like, the venue gets paid first. The people that are the support team get paid first. The artist usually is the last person paid. Everyone wants to be that supreme artist, the best actor in a film, and they're the top 1%er. But generally, through all the content that's made in the world,
it's the artist that actually
they suffer. The artist suffers. And I'm trying to flip that model where, like, I negotiate with different firms, and they say, it'd be really nice if you just supply all of your contacts and all of your content. That'd be great. We go, yeah, we could do that, but we would need a fee for that. We've been developing this network for 10 years, and the artists that you were trying to rip off, we're going to broker the deal to make sure that they get paid.
Wow.
And that's what we do. And yeah, it started out as, if you ask that question 5 times, you're going to get 4 no's and 1 yes.
Okay. That
ratio started to change. I'm now seeing it, I get 2 yeses and 1 no. Yeah, so the lesson I've learned is the more you say no, the better it is. Like, especially for brokerage. When you're trying to broker a deal for an artist, say no. Don't take the first deal. The first deal is shit. It's always garbage. It's always horseshit.
Yep.
It's usually, the first deal is usually about exposure. Like, do this job for free because you'll get exposure.
Exposure. You'll get. And
the next job you'll get paid. So the argument I have with corporations and funding bodies at the moment is like, no. We're going to get paid now. If you're not going to pay us now, we're not going to deliver the content that you want. Because there's someone else that will buy it. You can buy it, or someone else can. We don't care. And when I've taken that approach, it's been way more successful than just accepting a shitty deal.
Yeah, and then having your artist just like, well, this is just going to give you exposure.
Yeah.
So just do this.
There's no love in that. There's no love in that.
No, because you cared about your artists. You cared about people that are actually sending the message through that.
That
'Cause that's
medium
what
is the
artist-
message,
Yeah,
man.
the medium is the message.
Medium is the message.
It's the
Marshall McLuhan.
message.
The other thing that Marshall McLuhan, that I didn't get to say it earlier, the other thing that Marshall McLuhan used to say was that humans are the sex organs for technology.
We totally are the reproductive organs of technology.
I only just recently understood Black Mirror. I know it sounds crazy because everyone's watched Black Mirror, right? These dystopian ideas of technologically advanced civilizations doing things about consciousness and existence, robots and death, love, and robots.
Yep.
Same sort of deal. I only just recently learned what Black Mirror means. Do you know what Black Mirror means?
Let's look it up. Black Mirror.
It's a phone, man.
It's a phone screen.
Fucking phone screen. It's a Black Mirror. Only just hit me the other day. I'm like, oh, I get it. They're talking about the precursor. Black Mirror.
Black Mirror is, because
you look at the stories that
it's a
Black
black
Mirror.
screen.
It's a black screen.
Now,
or when it's not lit.
well,
Hey, look, hold this idea. I've got to pee.
okay.
I don't want to kill the audience. Shit, man. Hopefully we didn't get too much into the vagina monologues actually.
Oh, we did. We can
We
go
skipped
there.
over it.
Wait, we kind of skipped up. We can go there.
Actually, we didn't skip over. I think we did like a full half hour on it.
We did. We talked about the clitoris.
Mm.
And then, they say clitoris or clitoris.
Well, it's Dolores and clitoris.
Well, we in the Seinfeld episode.
Seinfeld episode, yeah.
Where he's like, oh, Dolores. And
Dolores!
Dolores! But it's actually like clitoris.
I
And
actually
people are
like how Seinfeld goes high pitch. I'm a big fan of that. It's Dolores!
It's Dolores! And he kind of whines and you hear his vocal cords kind of doing that little...
Oh, just an absolute genius, that guy. Absolute genius.
Oh, I love Larry David. Larry David.
Totally.
Oh, did you see when he did Bernie Sanders?
No.
It was so funny.
Yeah, actually, I did. I did see that. Yeah.
Jeff actually showed me some video because I'm a massive Bernie
Big
Sanders.
shout out to Jeff, actually.
Yeah, Jeff, you're the tits.
Yeah. You're the tits.
You're the tits.
You're the tits.
Jeff.
Big shout out to Jeff and the Tea Banger.
Tian,
we love
and
you.
the
We
little
love you.
babies. But yeah, he showed me some videos of Larry David doing Bernie Sanders skits, and they were so good, right? But then Bernie Sanders didn't become president, which is not surprising because Bernie Sanders is too good to be president of that country. That's how I see it. He's too good.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't want to go into it.
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
I'm
we'll
really on the scape of because Trump might get back in. It's possible.
That is a massive high possibility, but that's all
Devastating.
right. It's okay.
Well, look, we can at least steer it this way. At least Boris is gone. Boris Johnson gone.
Mm-hmm.
Morrison gone. Trump gone. The adults are back in charge. I don't know about the states though. I don't know.
Did you hear that Joe Biden?
Biden's not just a senior. Like he's a senior. Like, he's
like
super senior.
He's like elderly kind of guy.
Super elderly.
Super old. I mean, Bernie Sanders is old, but look, he's still got wit. Like you see him.
He's still got his constitution. That's for sure.
100%.
I don't think Biden does.
No, Joe Biden just recently got COVID.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I saw that he got recently diagnosed. He got COVID, and I'm like, oh, is he alright? I don't know. I didn't talk to him. We had coffee. We had a Zoom chat coffee the other day.
Yeah, I was hanging out with him, and I went to an Italian restaurant. It was fun. Yeah,
I went to Enzo's.
Enzo's. Oh man. I'm just to go political for a moment. I'm just glad that the adults are back in charge. I'm not saying I'm a Labor Liberal voter. I'm a swing voter. But at the moment, Labor seems to be more adult.
Albanese,
mate. Loose unit, as they call him.
Yep.
I think that's a badge of honour. But I just hope that it turns around for us, Bianca. Like there's some headwinds out there.
Oh, there
and
is.
they are scary. The $1 trillion in debt. Like we've all gone for the COVID meal, and no one's paid for the bill. We're going to pay. That's who's going to pay. We're going to pay for it.
We're going to pay for that. Yeah.
But there's the housing bubble that's out there that's going to burst at some point, and everyone's trying to avoid that. Trying to get everything squared away. And then we've got ICAC. We've got to get the corruption body in place to figure out, the last 10 years of rorts.
The nursing ratios, which is absolutely
Yeah.
abominable. Like,
It's ridiculous.
you know, it's like when we
It's
talk
in the name. It's in the name. A nursing home doesn't have nurses in it. It's in the fucking name. Like, I'm not a fucking scientist, man. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor, but it's in the name.
And do you know?
I know. I hate to be semantical about it, but
No.
fuck me, man. Like, where'd they go wrong?
Or also, one of the things that they do, they actually.
I didn't get all of that was on you. Not
No,
on
that's
me.
all right. No. I was
fucked it
really,
up.
I
I
was
fucked
like
it
really
up.
doing my own person. I'm really getting like passionate. But what they also do in nursing homes as well, in some particular places, they bring new nurses in and training nurses, right? And they
Yeah.
just switch them around. So when you have all these residents and patients that the nurses that have been there for a time, they know what they need. They know. But then you've got new nurses
situational
coming in.
awareness, spatial awareness.
And when you don't actually have the ratio of nurses, communication goes down. And as a nurse, communication is key because you need to have that follow-up. You need to have,
Totally.
you
Of
know,
course.
so in a normal hospital, like the normal ratio from a nurse to patient care should be 1 to every 4. But then you've got places that are 1 to 10, 1 to 12. And that makes it so dangerous. Not only burnout for the nurse, right? But patient care.
Yeah.
You've got one nurse that is supposed to be
It's
juggling.
nuanced. It's nuanced as
Oh.
well. Of course it is.
It's just, it's crazy and it's ludicrous. And it's just like, when are we going to be able to have that funding that we can have the proper amount of nurses for the patient care? Because patient care, it's lives in our hands. We need that proper ratio.
Yeah.
So everyone
absolutely.
can get the best
And there would
quality
be
of
that
care.
sweet spot, right? There would be that sweet spot of what the right ratio is. But again, like these problems are important, but there's problems that are in the backdrop of all of that. And climate, man, shit. 10 years of denialism to this point where, again, it's not a problem. It's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity. Let's look at the glass half full, people.
There's no
Let's
more
look
sun
at
that
this
shines on
glass
anywhere than the
half
planet
full.
than Australia. Like, the sun shines here a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Central Australia, man, holy shit.
You
It's
can
an
get burnt in the
opportunity.
shade.
Yeah, that's it. It's an opportunity. And yet we're catering to these archaic ideas of making money through exploration of minerals in this old-fashioned way. And they're trying to migrate and try to move their resources and try to remain in power. But again, I'll come back to this tinfoil hat wearing situation. Can I ever go with that? I'll never go with that. This tinfoil hat wearing situation where the climate is out of control. They know it. Like, I remember seeing signs during the drought 3 years ago in Penrith. Have you got your flood plan ready? During a drought. This is before the
During a drought,
bushfires. This is
yep.
before the bushfires. Remember the bushfires and the pandemic happened?
Oh my
Yep.
god. Yep. It was so close together as well.
These guys knew that whoever put those billboards up would have cost like $5,000 for a fortnight. Like, they put money into it.
Yep.
They knew that this place was going to flood. They didn't tell us in any other direct way. They didn't admit to climate change and to admit to their denial.
But how is anyone going to take that personally when you're going through a massive drought and the biggest heat wave we've ever had? They're like, where's your flood plan? Is anyone going to take that? Like, what? We're having bushfires.
That was a good
So,
one. That was a
you
good
did
one.
a
That was a good
circle.
one.
It's like Gandalf.
Yeah,
You are
Gandalf.
Gandalf.
Oh no, he does like the shipping boat.
He did the
Fucking-
shipping
yeah,
boat
yeah,
and
yeah.
it through Bilbo's hole. Yeah, sorry, that sounded
That
bad.
sounded really erotic. I needed Gandalf
Needed
to get
them-
that shit through Bilbo's hole. Ooh.
Because Bilbo did the smoke ring. Sorry, I should have used my words a little bit better. Through Bilbo's smoke ring, he did the ship going through Bilbo's smoke ring, not through his hole. Come on, we're not being erotic.
Still going,
here.
it's still going, it's still going.
Oh, look.
Yeah, it's still
Sounds like
going.
a vagina.
No,
But
it
yeah,
is, yes.
But who's going to take that seriously if they don't know? It's just like, where's your flooding plan? Just after, like, during when we're having a massive drought and massive bushfires and the biggest heat wave.
That was 2.
No, I think it was 3.
That was a 3, okay.
Maybe 3 or 4. I don't know.
Maybe 3.
But yeah, but who's going to take that? But what, flood plan? Like, we're having the biggest
They knew. This is my point. They fucking knew, man. They knew that this was a problem. And I think the halting to, like, seeing the Himalayas from Calcutta, man, is a big indicator to the issues that we have. There's a point that they predict in the future that there's more plastics in the ocean in weight than fish. Like, think about it. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's crazy.
That's
crazy.
why, can I please just say on the record, I have plastic straws, but anytime I use a plastic straw, I leave it and I don't throw it out because my cat Mulan loves straws and she will play with it forever.
Cat's name's Milan.
Mulan. Of course, I named my cat Mulan after my favorite Disney character. So her name's Mulan and she loves straws. She gets excited by straws.
Okay.
So I never throw my straw out. I leave it for, it's her toy.
Yeah. Well, I used to have a cat when I was a kid, and her name was Pushka.
Pushka.
Pushka, as in put. You know, I thought I saw a putty tat, and then the cat's name was Put, but then we would say Pushka.
Yep.
So Pushka was our pure white cat.
Oh,
Beautiful cat.
Beautiful.
And yeah, man. Yeah, she was a crazy cat, man. Crazy cat. I love that fucking.
My Chocha Tamara had a white cat, like my cousin Natasha. My Chocha Tamara. Love you, Chocha Tamara. May she rest in peace. Love her so much. But they had a white cat, and he was a boy, biggest sook in the galaxy, as all male cats are, and they called him Sashik.
Yeah. Oh, Sashik.
Sashik.
That's nice.
Oh
no, but Put, she loved, Pushka. She loved a plastic bag. Give her a plastic bag, mate. She loved a plastic bag.
I feel like it's the feeling and the sensation and the sound.
Yeah, well, I got something else that's strange to attribute to that. And this is one program that I really, really dug. Fur coats, right? What do you do with old fur coats? Like, because if you wear them out, like if someone buys an old fur coat and you wear them out, you can get covered in red paint, right? Mm-hmm. But this really cool program was taking fur coats secondhand, cutting them up into pouches for joeys, for other small animals to, when they sit in the fur, they feel like they're with their mother.
Oh.
So there's this program in Australia for fur coats to be used for pouches for orphaned animals,
like joeys, like little,
bilbies, kangaroos, flying foxes, this sort of thing. Yeah, I found that really cool. Like, because you take this really negative thing and they turn it into something really positive.
And because it's second hand, it's not like they actually bought it knowing, it's a mink.
No, it's repurposed.
It's repurposed.
It's repurposed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to look at it. Again, it comes from a perspective of love, man. It's about love.
Yep. I think if you do all things
We're custodians.
in love,
We're custodians. Like, humans are fucking weird. Think about it. Humans are the only thing that can study itself.
That's true.
In the known universe. In the known universe, we're the only brain that can study its own brain.
And that's amazing.
That's amazing.
And
because have you ever seen David, like the statue of David? Have you ever seen David in Florence?
Yes, in Firenze.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. The intricacies, the detail, and the scale. The scale of David will blow your mind. The man that made this, even the dimples in their wrist, in the wrist of David, the veins that come out of the hands, the posture and the look in his face, at the scale, like it's an upscale of a human, but it's to ratio. The ratio is correct. Like the head isn't too big, the torso isn't too small.
So it's all in proportion.
It's literally perfect. It's literally perfect. Made of marble. When you're chiseling marble like that, you can't make a mistake.
No.
You can't.
Was he like listening to some seriously like Tibetan chanting music?
Think about that.
Just like meditative. Like that is such an
replication to replicate that is astounding. It's astounding. And this was done during the Enlightenment, right? Like, this is the thing that blows my mind, Bianca, is when you look at the Earth as a 12-year-old, not a 12-year-old clock, a 12-hour clock. 12-year-old clock, that sounds really dodgy.
12-year-old clock.
It's a 12-year-old clock, shit. Oh, fuck.
What?
A 12-hour clock.
That tells the time.
That tells the time. If you're looking at a 12-hour clock and you had the whole human existence on that clock, humans have been here for 4 seconds. Right? Modern science has been here for less than a second. So if you look at the geological age of the Earth, dinosaurs, before the dinosaurs, bacteria, before bacteria, just the molten ball, right? 12 hours. Humans have been here for 4 seconds. Modern science has been here for less than a second. The age of silicon has been here for less than that in that geological scale. If you take that scale and extrapolate that to the age of the universe, it's even smaller. Right? It's a ridiculous ratio. It really is. It really is a ridiculous ratio. Like, I'll give you now another example that I give people just to give context to this idea. There's two ways I give context to this idea. The size of the sun, right? Okay, so
It's a massive big booty.
yeah, well, if you think of the size of the sun as a basketball, how big is the Earth? How big do you think the Earth is?
Well, considering the size of a basketball, would it be the size of maybe like a marble?
Marble's a bit big. Bit big.
Okay, so
Like a pea.
A pea?
A pea.
I love peas.
Yeah, it's about the size of a pea, right? So when you look out to the Southern Cross,
Yep.
and you'll see there's two southern pointers, Proxima Centauri. Oh, sorry, I've done this all wrong. I fucked this up. If you look out to the Big Dipper, actually,
Yep.
Orion's Belt,
Orion's belt. Yep.
and out to the side of Orion's Belt, you'll see Sirius. Sirius is the basketball, and the sun is the pea.
Okay. Wow.
So now the Earth is the pinprick. Let's get crazier. Let's get crazier.
Let's get crazy.
Let's get crazier.
Let's get so crazy.
So when you're looking out at the Big Dipper, you'll see an orange star. And that orange star is called Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is the basketball, and Sirius is the pea. Earth doesn't fit in that scale.
It's not even... What is
It's not measurable. It's not measurable in that ratio.
Yeah.
And these are standardized. These are what you refer to as like oh no, I was about to get that wrong. Standard candles. That's a different thing. But these are average size stars. So the sun is not an average size star. It's smaller than the average star. Smaller.
Smaller than the average star.
It's smaller than the average star. Yeah. If you look at
Are you shitting me?
I'm not shitting you, bro. I'm not shitting you.
Are you shitting me?
Oh,
I just thought I would just bring
yeah, no, but let's bring it up. Okay,
Okay.
so size of the Earth to universe. Let's try that. Go videos. All right, this will give you an idea. Hopefully this one works. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's try this one.
How big is the universe?
All right, I'm just gonna like randomly shoot this out. Let's see if this works. Oh, what's this? An ad? Fuck off.
Oh,
All right, here we go.
okay.
All right, so this is not right. Oh, they're going backwards. Oh, no, I don't want this. Why do they do this to me? We
No,
don't want this.
get off, Dr.
Fuck
Edwards.
off.
Get off.
Yeah,
the
here we go. No,
stage.
this one's better. This one's better.
Okay.
Here we go. I got it. This is the one. This is the one we want.
Get off the
If it-
stage.
Get off the stage.
Edwards.
It's 11 minutes. How could that even be right? I just don't agree with that either. That's clearly shit. Fuck off. Ugh. Oh, there it is. Compared to other planets. 3 times a charm. I finally got it.
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's talk about size.
Let's talk about size. Let's just start. Okay, so Mercury.
Mars.
Right, actually, let's change the
Venus.
settings here. Let's increase that to 2. Let's speed it up. There we go. I've increased the speed by 2.
Neptune.
Neptune, Saturn.
Without rings.
Yeah, Jupiter.
Jupiter. Sun.
The Sun, right?
Sirius.
That's one I talked about. Pollux.
Pollux.
Arcturus. Arcturus is huge.
Eta
No, the red giant. Rigel. Yeah, Rigel's a big one.
Pistol Star. Antares.
Antares. Yeah. So you can see that the Earth does just not fit in the scale. We haven't even got to black holes yet. It's insane. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. That's how big we are. Right, so if you think about that, right? If you think about the shine on a billiard ball, right? So if you take a micrometer and look at a billiard ball, so if you take the highest peak and the lowest trough, is a bigger ratio than if you were to take Mount Everest and the Marianas Trench, is a smaller ratio than on a billiard ball.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are less than the shine of a billiard ball where we exist. We exist inside the shine. You know what I mean?
Yep.
On that scale, which is crazy.
That is so crazy. Because you know what? I look at it this way. When you learn about like anatomy and human body and the amount of like atoms and nerve endings and everything, we are literally a walking universe. Each and every one of us. But then what are we compared to the Earth? What is the Earth compared to all those dimensions and planets and solar systems out there? We are literally not even a grain of sand.
Yeah, it's less. It's less than that.
Less than that.
Oh, I think that's called 10 to the 10? 10 to the 10. Yeah, here it is. 10 to the power of 10. Yeah, this one's crazy. Powers of 10. Here it is. So let me just route that. If I go... Oh, it's got... Here we go. Camera 3. Power... Yeah, here we go. Check this out. So the power of 10. So this is a hula hoop. So we're doing the hula hoops. And they're in Venice, right? So they're in Venice. And we're zooming out from Venice. Okay. This is the power of 10. So let's... it will show you along the way. Okay, so there's 10 meters to 100 meters. 10 meters to 1,000 meters. 10 meters to 10,000 meters. 10 meters to 100,000 meters. Yeah. We're now off the Earth. 1 million meters. The Earth, 10 million meters. Yep. That's the... Okay, so that's the orbit. 100 million meters orbit of the moon.
Wow.
Yeah. The 10 of 10s. Got to recommend it. This is a totally Carl Sagan deal. Actually, we missed the moon.
I love Carl Sagan.
Oh, Carl Sagan. Yeah, man. He referred to it as the small blue dot. That's what we are. And you're about to see that. Here it is. The small blue dot in the orbit of Helion Prime, which is our sun. There's our solar system. And here's the Oort cloud.
Oh, my God. Where are we? We're not... Oh.
Yeah. See that dot? That's us. No, we're the dot going around the dot.
We're like in the dot. You can't even see us in the dot.
We're not perspective in that ratio. The first star that we see is 4 light years away, which is Proxima Centauri. And you got to understand the scale of this, right? So here's 1,000 light years. We're in the Sagittarius arm. So you pull out from the Sagittarius arm, and now you can see the galaxy.
Holy crap! Look at that.
And then that galaxy sits amongst the local area, which are these other galaxies. Andromeda, which you saw on the right there. And now we're galaxies among... All those dots there are galaxies.
Wow.
We're still the local area. We haven't really got to the perspective of the universe yet.
Of course.
This is where the universe starts to take perspective. This is the visual universe. So this is, I think we're out to 13 billion years. This is what we know. Here's a zoom in. This is crazy. This is a trip, bro. Yeah.
Whoa. I should
Yeah.
have had 3 bongs. It's like, I just had 3 bongs. You mean cones, Bianca?
This is fucking crazy, man. Here we
Oh
are,
my
bang.
gosh.
There we are, our solar system.
Wow.
Third rock from the sun. There's our moon. There's us on the shine of a billiard ball.
Oh my gosh. And then we go back to Venice.
Yeah, we're back in Venice, right? I've actually been there. It's quite beautiful.
It's a beautiful city.
It really is. It really is. But you get the idea, right? Like, we are so fucking insignificant. This is where the paradox comes into it.
Yep.
It really does. The paradox comes into it because, you could argue we are insignificant through that diagram, right? But we're at the same time significant. If you've seen the statue of David, you know that we are significant.
Yep.
You know it. The idea of Einstein understanding the laws of relativity. This bad boy. The laws of relativity, right? Understanding that there is a flux in time and space. Something that's heavier goes through time slower. Like, we just looked through 13 billion years. When we look through the James Webb telescope to the oldest galaxy, that's 13 billion years ago that light happened. What has happened to that galaxy in the last 13 billion years? We don't know. The visual universe really blows out to 93 billion years. 93 billion years. Think about that. So our visual universe immediately through Hubble, 13 billion years. It's 9 times bigger than that.
That's insane.
Shine of
That's
a billiard,
insane,
but the shine of the billiard ball is less than the ratio of a microbe that's in your stomach. The strangest thing.
But it's like, you know what? Looking
It's
out from
strange.
those universes, it's like looking out from the human body.
Biomes, very
Yep.
interesting.
It's
Very
like looking
interesting.
out from the human body. When you look into a human body, like I said, we are like a walking universe. When you look on the outskirts of a human body, the anatomy, everything that we're made up of, it is like literally looking out from that too.
Do you know that there's more neurons in the human brain than there are stars in the galaxy? Boom. Fucking hell. You're saying that there are more dopamine receptors in your brain than there are stars in our galaxy. There's a galaxy within all of us.
There is. We are walking universes.
Yeah, totally.
It's just like a metaphor. Like, I feel like when you look at that, there's so much else that we don't know. And this is another thing that I remember I was told by my nono, right? So my nono wasn't a religious man. He didn't like religion. But he used to sit outside and look at the ants. He used to love looking at the ants and how they were, doing their thing and how they were very structured and had their own, basically they were collecting whatever they did to their ant hole. And my nono used to love...
It sounds dirty. What they were doing to their ant hole.
Going into their house. But my nono used to be like, Bianca, vieni, guarda le formiche. Like, look at the formiche. Formiche means ants, right? And my nono used to say, Bianca, see the ants? See how they're so, they know what they're doing. They're very formalized. They're very, this. He's like, but see that the pebbles that they're crawling on? They have no idea how those pebbles that we laid the concrete here, the grass, the fence, they have no idea how that fence was built, right? But they're existing and he's like, that's exactly like us. We're just formiche.
The superorganism. That's what you're talking about.
Yep.
There's the superorganism.
Yep.
And this is what I we're talking about nature versus synthetic.
Yep.
Right. We talk about I was talking about petrochemicals before. You could say that these are synthetic ideas and synthetic things that we've made, but isn't that natural? Maybe the Earth wanted plastic. I saw George Carlin on this, right? Maybe the Earth wanted plastic, like save the humans, right? Because everyone's about save the planet. The planet's been through 6 extinction events already. The planet's not going anywhere. Humans are. If we fuck this up, we're going to be like Noah's Ark, man.
Yep.
We're going to be the flood that no one saw coming. We can let this knowledge die. We can let the statue of David erode. We can. It's an easy choice to let that happen.
Yep.
The harder choice is to grow weed on the moon
We're going to grow weed on the moon.
in
to
a
open
big
up that third
dome
eye.
in
Yep.
less gravity, right? To search inner space and outer space together is a harder decision than it is just to believe in the old man in the sky, to be insular, to suppress those that are different, and to put those that are stronger in power. You know, and that's what the patriarchy's been. You could argue that, yes, there's been matriarchies. Absolutely. Absolutely, there's been matriarchies. It all ties into elitism.
It does.
It does.
It does.
Whether it's got a dangly bit or a insert bit, right? It doesn't.
Inserted pear clitoris.
Yeah,
that's aroused.
The erect clitoris,
Which
if
is like
you
a
will.
pear.
I reckon Queen Victoria, she had a very erect clitoris. I'm just saying, like, she was fucking hungry for power. The sun never set in her empire.
No, it didn't.
It didn't set in her empire. That's how big that fucker got.
That clit was lit, man.
That clit was lit, bro. That clit was lit.
That was.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
power to the woman.
Yeah, but again, though, like I say, more power to everybody. As long as you're not hurting anyone, man.
Of course.
You know, we're going through civil rights movements at the moment, and previous civil rights movements were to do with ethnicity.
Yep.
At the moment, it's about sexuality. And when we looked at ethnicity, like even the Australian Constitution, right, it had degradation towards black fellas. Even the opening comments of the Australian Parliament.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs.
It is really sad.
It's a sad state of affairs. It's what Gordon Ramsay would refer to as, that's a shame. It's a shame. It is an absolute shame that we represented our fellow humans that way. But the reality is that we've got to acknowledge that and move on. I think the South Africans did it really well. They looked at the differences that they had, and they agreed that they both fucked up, and they moved on. Or let me rephrase that. They're moving on. They've still got work to do.
Still got work to do.
And so do we. And we're in this space at the moment of this civil movement of ideas. What sexuality is, what it is to be a woman, what it is to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
These things, you could talk about gender fluidity, or you could talk about, scientifically, XY chromosome, XX chromosome, male, female. That's it. You know, but there's more nuances to it.
There's
than
so
that.
much many nuances, and people can say you either born a man or a woman, but it's like, well, not really, because there are people, and even though they're a minority, but there's still millions of people born out there with both, as we would intersex.
Yeah,
you know,
well, it's in the animal kingdom
Yep.
and it's in the plant kingdom. There is a percentage of things that are homosexual. There is things that are transsexual. There's a percentage that are transsexual. These things need to be identified. I think the argument is about the extrapolation across all society, the silver bullet idea.
And it's fear. It's fear.
totally
of
based
not
on fear.
Not understanding. Actually,
Love will set you free, though, baby. Love will set you free.
It will. It will. It's the love of kind of like understanding. Okay, where does that person's perception come from, or not even perception of how they want to be identified? How these people that have been like under so much scrutiny, just wanting to have, just
Basic human rights. Basic human rights.
Exactly.
Well,
autonomy, an autonomy.
Well, I see the argument for sports. Like, I see the argument for sports about performance versus, gender transition people that are competing in different sports. I can see the argument from a scientific point of view. I can see that. Should we look at it from a human rights perspective and say that they have less rights? No. Should we look at sports? Maybe that needs some nuance. Maybe that needs to be further identified.
Yep.
The issue of medication, for instance, the issue of hormonal medication to a man, to a woman, would be different. Dosage, in fact, is different.
Yep.
Based on your physical construct, but you could argue that across the spectrum as well. So I guess my point is, we should be looking at this from a point of love and inclusiveness, but not to the point of irrational behaviour. You've got to be rational about things. Should everyone have the right to vote? Totally. Should everyone have the right to food and shelter? Yes. Should everyone have the right to medical care and education? Yes.
100%.
Should people have a biochemical advantage in sport? Well, that needs to be looked at. We look at sports in this way that you can't have androgynous testosterone in your body to be a weightlifter.
To be a weightlifter when you're competing against other women.
Mm.
Yeah. So there.
So
there
if
is
you have
argument.
where you get that source of testosterone from is the debate, because you were born a man, therefore you have more testosterone. So we need. I don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm very I don't have a massive opinion about that, and I keep myself very.
Oh man, it's a risky subject,
yeah, it
right?
is a very
it's
risky
totally
subject.
risky subject.
Because obviously, like I can understand where someone
I've
that
done so many bad switches tonight.
That's
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Someone that identifies themselves as that gender, and we should fully embrace that and fully encourage that and fully be on board. I think when it comes to sports and that, because it's a biological aspect of your finesse, how you are made, what physical capabilities you will have more over a feminine, that's where it becomes murky, it can become grey, it can become like...
Yeah, it
well,
does.
No,
I guess my biggest fear, again, comes from a point of fear. My fear is about the feminist movement. Like, are you going, as feminists out there, are you going to relinquish your argumentative sovereignty, for lack of a better terminology, to those that are men that are transitioned to women? Or are you going to allow women to be in power of women being women?
Exactly.
That's an interesting argument.
You know what that is?
It's an interesting
because
argument.
it's just like, I hope it doesn't.
We've gone so deep tonight,
Yeah,
folks.
we
If
are.
you're
We
still
are
hanging
going-
on, you're 3 hours in, so I appreciate you.
We're getting all deep, because you really would not want it to come to that aspect of, okay, you identify as a woman and you've done this, but you were originally a man. You don't want that kind of argument to come in, because it's not fair. Because obviously they identify themselves.
The physiology is different.
It's
There is a scientific difference.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about it as social difference, well, these social constructs are malleable. They really are.
Exactly.
If you're talking about gender as scientific, XY chromosome versus XX chromosome, you can identify them as different. And yes, they have different physical attributes. That's a fact. So like Serena Williams, man, one of the best tennis players of all time. But if you put her in the men's league, she's going to be at 200, not at number one.
Yep.
But if Federer decided to have a sex change, he could be world number one in women's until he's 50.
Yep.
These things don't seem fair, and as I say, I don't know the answer, but I think the first point would be to look at the perspective, looking at it from a perspective of love, and then supplemented with the perspective of science. I think that would be fair.
Yep.
Fair doesn't mean equal. Fair doesn't mean equal. I know that sounds really shitty, but it isn't.
And like my heart goes out to these athletes that are like, what I am a woman, and I want to compete with women, but in that biological scientific aspect, it's like, no, you can't. I feel for them, because I'm like, that is shit. Like, sorry. I was talking about
it's alright. You did good.
It is shit. It is such a shit situation that they are just, wanting to be accepted. And we talk about social and society, where they absolutely should. But then when it comes to something that they're passionate about, that they live their life for, that they absolutely, and then they're actually like stripped from that would be so hard.
But if you go on the other side, like women cyclists or women weightlifters that have been overshadowed by someone that transitioned, you'd be hard done by as a woman. You go, well, I'm a born woman. Why shouldn't I have the right to have my crown in this sport at being at the top of my game?
Yep. No, I get that.
I understand that argument. I really do. As I say, like I walk into this debate and this discussion with no answers, just questions.
Just questions.
100%. And I think it's an open book at the moment, and time will tell. But I certainly would say that we should be compassionate with those that want to be identified, that they want to be identified. But we should also be looking at the civil rights movement for that exists, like the women's rights movement, like the gender pay gap is a thing. It really is a thing.
It is.
Like it's not at the stock. You know, if you're both driving a forklift in a warehouse, you're on the same pay. But is the CEO of that warehouse on the same pay as their predecessor that may have been a female? And evidence shows that no, that's not the case. Like when I asked Misty to debate for more pay at work, I tell her to ask for it. And that's the difference between what I've noticed with men and women in the gender pay gap is men are more demanding. Like, well, no, I'm more egotistical. I'm this good. I make this much revenue, so therefore I want this share.
Yep.
They're very direct about it.
Yep.
Women are like, I'm just so thankful I got a fucking job, and we're going to argue with this. And plus, he's a little bit handsy. I don't want to put myself in a compromising situation.
Exactly. They don't want to lose their job because they've got so many different kind of like.
Well, the Me Too movement didn't come out of nowhere.
No, of course not.
It didn't come out of nowhere.
Of course not. And then when people say,
it's there because of those that are taking rights off others.
Yeah, exactly.
And exploiting people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where that derives from women that have been in these situations, from very powerful men. So I don't say all men, you know what I mean? But
as I said, we've had a female prime minister. There's a female on every 20-cent piece in the country. You can't say it's totally a patriarchy, but you can certainly say that the patriarchy has had a part of it. I'm someone that would argue that elitism doesn't actually care about gender. Elitism actually just cares about capitalism.
Yep.
Money has no memory. Mummy doesn't know where we're coming from. Money doesn't have a memory of where it was born from.
No.
Money doesn't have a gender. Money doesn't have any persuasions of any kind. And money is there to be sought on agreement of what they refer to as fiat. Actually, it's fiat. Which means agreed to be so. Actually, I've got to switch to me. I'm so sorry. No, I'm sorry. I just kicked you as well.
All right.
Wow, just getting more violent. Shit. No, but fiat.
Kicking my legs up. It's a twitch.
No, but fiat is a word that means that we agree it to be so. So gold, for instance, we agree that it's valuable. There's actually no attributed value to gold. You know, there is minute attributes to it. Like, for instance, the use in electronics.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great conductor. It's a better material to use. But there's other materials that just perform just as well as gold, if not better. But we agree that gold's worth this much. It's a fiat situation.
Yep.
Same with money. Like, you can't take a $20 bill and cook a roast with it unless you buy a roast.
A roast with that money. Yep.
And we agree that this thing will trade for that. It's an agreement. And that's what fiat things are. That's what fiat things are. And I think there's an element of that in gender. Like, would I be sitting at someone with dinner and go, okay, this person used to be a man. Would I call them a him just to be rude? Well, no. No, I wouldn't.
No.
But would I box them in a fight? I don't know about that. That's where it gets a bit murky. That's where I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer to that. Like, the instinct would be to, no, I have an advantage. That's not fair. And I think that's where equality, fairness, and equity are different. Equity is totally different from equality. It's totally different. They have similarities. They have the same outlook.
Yep.
They have the same perspective. But the outcome is different. So that's where perspective and outcome changes.
So it doesn't matter where you are or who you are or where your background is. It's about what you have.
Merit.
What can actually then kind of, help me or be an opportunity for me. Where can I get an opportunistic kind of leverage in this? Doesn't matter where you come from, but as long as we are and I am getting something from this at the same time, that's where like the most importance is. Yeah. Where can I get leverage on this? Doesn't matter about that, but where can I get leverage on this?
Yeah. Again, like you could pump drugs into an athlete and give them high testosterone levels, whether they're male or female. It was actually, I think, Icarus. You ever seen this documentary, Icarus?
No.
It's about the Russians doping all of their athletes and the...
I've heard about it. Yeah.
The only ones they didn't dope were the ice skaters because they found that made them too aggressive. They needed them to be more dainty and feminine, so they didn't give them androgynous testosterone. But again, testosterone replacement therapy, TRT.
Yep.
These things are necessary. If you want to, if you get beyond 50 years old and you want to grow muscles, you have to have TRT. It's not possible. Your body your body doesn't make it at the same level as when you were 30.
Yep.
That's just biological fact. But I don't know if there's an advantage to testosterone, because you'd say that there's a physical advantage to testosterone, but the argument that people won't have is about estrogen, about being accommodating, and about submissive is a risky word. Submissive is a risky word. You don't want to talk about being submissive, but perhaps being empathetic.
Yep.
Sympathetic.
Yep.
Being people orientated. These are things that are based around estrogen, understanding others' perspective, and one would argue that only women experience that. Well, that's not true either.
No.
Men experience empathy just like women do.
Yep.
Maybe their physicality is a little bit different, but they still experience these things psychologically. It doesn't matter. Oh, wow, I'm on a third mouse move for that one. There we go. You could look at if you were walking past a lake and you heard someone drowning, calling for help. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter if you're a man or woman.
Your instinct would be
go and save the person.
Yep.
You don't need a testament. You don't need religion to tell you that's the right thing to do. No. You don't need science to tell you that's the right thing to do.
It's just innate.
It's innate
into you to help another person who's in need of help.
Totally. Yep. Right. And if you ignored that cry for help, it would haunt you forever. It would haunt you forever. Unless you're a psychopath. Unless you're normal. Unless you're
a normal psychopath that just ignores that, be like, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
Just keep on walking. But hey, that wasn't my responsibility, but that's just normal.
Yeah,
you know?
So I think there's definitely something to be said for that. I don't know. As I said, I don't know the answer to the question. I just know that there's a lot of questions. And some of them are yes, some of them are no, and some of them are hard to deal with. And that's the part that we've all got to grip with. You know, it's the hard to deal with part. And it's the same with men. Like, you can take the power position of the white male privilege position, go, well, it just is that way, and deal with it, right? But if you look at males, for instance, like the highest incarceration rate, the high suicide rate, like there's different ways to measure happiness, and I think we're all as equally as fucked as each other. That's where equality really tunes in.
Yep.
Like, we all deal with shit on a day-to-day basis.
We all want to be happy. We all want to be at peace with ourselves. We all want to be happy. We all want to know ourselves.
Yeah.
And know where we are in society. Like,
and
you know
then
what
identification.
I mean? Identification, you know. And some people look for it with the acceptance of others, and other people look for it in a way of their own acceptance of themselves. So there's like two ways to go about it: that outer acceptance or that inner acceptance, and it can be on two different.
Yeah, they're different ledgers. Yeah, they really are. They really are. And I guess, I don't know. At the end of the day, as the saying goes, at the end of the day, I just hope that people would do the right thing. I hope that governments do the right thing. I hope corporations do the right thing. And there's the butting heads of all of that. You know, the industrial military complex versus the hippie movement. And those two things are two teams that are coming together. But there's people that are in both camps. You know, like you could talk to religious people that are for abortion, or religious people that are against abortion, or you can talk about people that are for refugees coming to Australia, or not for refugees coming to Australia. These are all persuasions, optics. But I think we approach it from a position of love. I think we'd be better off. I just really think that.
I think it's just, you know what? It's like, what did the Dalai Lama said? Peace, and call out to the Dalai Lama, who I saw and had a meeting with.
He got cancelled, man. Dalai Lama got cancelled because he's been misogynist. Just, you know.
Really?
Yeah. I'll pull it up.
What did he say?
Let's pull it up. I'll pull it up.
Here we go.
Yeah. How do I spell Dalai Lama? I'm too drunk.
DALAI.
DALAI. Oh yeah, Dalai Lama.
LAMA.
Dalai Lama. Sexist comments. I'll go for that one. There we go. Oh, we go. Oh, I need. What? Oh, you're on YouTube, you dork.
You dork.
Yeah, I just select all. Copy that. Go to another tab. Let's bring this bad boy up. Dalai Lama. I'm telling you. There we go. Dalai Lama apologizes for sexist comments. Yeah. So, even he got cancelled, man. Dalai Lama got cancelled. Go away, ads. Fuck off. The Dalai Lama walked back on his jokes made last week during an interview that a future female successor would have to be more attractive. In a statement released on Tuesday.
I don't think he's talking about it from his point of view.
Oh, yeah, no, there's logic behind this.
I think what he meant by that was saying, like, in our world today, what are people more drawn to? The aesthetics.
Yeah.
The physicality. He's not talking about his own perception of...
He got taken out of context and he got cancelled.
Well, that's just BS because the Dalai Lama is my brother.
Yeah, but how do you cancel the Dalai Lama?
China cancelled him because he believes in a free Tibet. Like,
yeah,
hello.
Well, they don't like that either. They don't like that. It's adverse
it's not
ideas.
even an autonomous country.
But again, that doesn't come out of love, man. It doesn't come out of love. I'm just saying that the whole premise of everything is love.
Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, him saying that, taking it out of context, it's just like, well, would the Dalai Lama really think that... Would he really believe saying you need to be attractive because that's how he sees it? Do you really think that that's from his perspective? He's probably talking about in terms of society now.
Oh, yeah, no, the context is everything.
You know,
context is everything. But if you take it out of context, you can sound
and because
quite
he's a man as well, he's a llama. Like, he just...
He's a llama.
He's a llama. He's a... No, not the animal. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Okay, that could be taken out of context.
Oh, man, we've been on a journey tonight where both of us may get cancelled. Who knows? Who knows how this will roll out?
We could get cancelled.
We could totally get cancelled.
But we also... Everything that we said was out of love.
It's totally out of love.
From vaginas to Stranger Things, to the universe, to Carl Sagan.
Well, there's one saying in Stranger Things that always comes back to me. It's like, I wanted you by my side, but now I just want you to watch. And it's going to be fucking beautiful.
That was Vecna.
Yeah. It's very well. I hate Vecna as much as you like. It's well done.
It is so well done. I think, and how they actually linked it all up, right? And attributed it to 11 when she was in the labs with Papa and things like that. Because when I watched it,
I totally picked it.
Yeah.
Like when I was watching it with Misty, I'm like, he's the one. He's number one.
He's number one. Yeah, I had a feeling, but I didn't trace it to Vecna, right? But I'm like...
Totally had it.
He probably was number one, but let's just see, right? And then, because I also brought it up to my mum, I'm like, Victor Creel, his son never died. He said he had a coma, and then he died afterwards. I'm like, okay, let's just see where this goes. But then it was just like, number one.
Well, let me blow your mind. Okay, I'm sure it's online at the moment, but Eddie's coming back as a vampire.
Hey, did you hear about the thing about Will?
No.
There's a thing about Will. Being connected with like the mind flayer and stuff like.
Yeah, well, look, I will say this, especially about Stranger Things. There's different ways to cross the fourth wall. You can be direct and actually cross the fourth wall. You can engage with the fourth wall with being indirect. What Stranger Things did was they interacted with the fourth wall with emotions. See, Vecna was destroyed. All right, in the spoiler alert, Vecna was destroyed, and Eddie died. All right, so they killed Vecna, they won, then Eddie died, then Max died, and then we all got sad. So I was like, no, you can't kill Eddie. You can't kill Eddie.
Not Eddie.
And then you go, oh, and Max. Then they do the montage on Max. You're like, actually, she was a really good friend.
Yeah.
She was a really good friend, and you killed her too, you bastards. And then Vecna comes back.
Because he feeds on the sadness, the
On
suffering.
our sadness. So the audience is brought into that sadness and that, what do you call it? Not vanquishing. What's the word? Grievance. We grieved. As soon as we started grieving, he started reappearing.
And that's the thing. You think
I think it's very clever.
Like our strength.
Super clever.
Our strength, like a normal society, is psychopathic. They don't feel, right? But Vecna also feels on what is our strength, which is our ability to feel and sadness, even though, like, because we're not going to be detached from our sadness and our empathy and that. And when we feel that, and we feel that sadness, that's what Vecna also feeds from. So it's like it's like a 8 or 9. It's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's like, should I feel or
It's
not?
a paradox.
It is
It's
a
total
massive paradox.
But I really do see that, the idea of standing in the light. And it comes back to love. Really comes back to love. If you fill your heart with love, you will become invulnerable. You will become indestructible.
Okay, do you know what really resonates
It's a
with
hard
me?
path. It's easier said than done.
Watching it again, so when you see 11 going back to memories when she was with Papa and all the other, girls and boys that had the same powers as her. Remember, one said to go by her emotions. The other ones, they were told not to go by their emotions.
Yeah.
Right? But 11 was provoked by using her powers by emotion. The other ones
Yeah, but
weren't.
remembering her mother.
Yep.
That's how she
the
got her source.
Yep, that's how she got her source, because it was from that anger.
And he used negativity.
Yep.
She used love.
Yes.
She used love. He
yep,
uses negativity, and he became an explorer of the underworld that brought these negative things back to the real world. And she explores love.
Love.
Oh,
Through
no.
that.
What have I been hitting to? Oh, where's that going? Oh, the camera died. Oh, no. Oh, look, I think we should finish it up right there.
Yep.
We'll finish it up. Look, it has been absolutely fantastic interview. Thank you so much for coming around. I've had a really good time.
I've drank a whole bottle.
We've
of
got through a whole
Prosecco.
bottle. I got through a 6-pack of beer, so it's been
It's been a great,
it's been absolute
It's been a
hoot.
great experience.
But folks, our camera has died for the last time, so you're going to see me on the way out, and this one's about to die, so I've got to get this done really quickly. But once again, thank you so much for being on the show.
I've loved being here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And guys, you have been watching the Pagey Train. You can check us out on Spotify. Video on Spotify, that's right. Or you can check us out, and don't forget to follow us on Spotify. Or you can check us out on YouTube. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. But for our avid listeners out there, you can check us out on Apple iTunes. It's Apple iTunes. Or you can check us out on iHeartRadio. Registered broadcaster. Don't mean to brag. Follow us there. You guys have been watching the Pagey Train, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, that's been amazing.
Finally got there.
We
got there.
We did it. Oh my gosh, I think my mom's calling me.
Answer the call.
Okay, hello.